Greetings, my fellow Americans. This is your President Samuel Ronan speaking, and today is Worldwide Wednesdays, and it has been a crazy week already. The entire world, a large majority of the world, erupted in protest on behalf of Palestinians, and it seems the straw hat flag is making greater waves than we could have ever hoped for. So, we definitely have a lot of good news to talk about today. We also can talk about the fact that Mexico opened a new transatlantic cross ocean trade, kind of like the Panama Canal, but through Mexico. So the world is changing in positive ways, not just the horrible World War III dystopian nightmare stuff that we've been dealing with. So hello, Anna. Hello, everybody else. And, yeah, I think we can get, started a little quicker today. You know, if
this is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Narmeen Sheikh in New York with Amy Goodman in San Francisco.
Global condemnation is mounting as hundreds of international activists remain in Israeli prison, days after Israel's military raided and captured dozens of boats on the global Samud flotilla. The flotilla set sail in late August in an effort to break Israel's siege and starvation campaign in Gaza. Reuters reports that...
So I know she's going to get into this because it's Amy Goodman and we can trust her, but it does seem that there is a critical mass that the Israeli blockade can't deal with, and it's over 50 boats. So if we could get even 100 or 200 boats in there, we'd be good to go. We'd be able to launch and break through the blockade. The other issue, though, is if you're going to send naval vessels to escort the flotilla and then literally not intercept Navy vessels, the drones, or Special Forces Marines, then why are you sending your naval vessels in the first place? But I digress.
At least 170 flotilla activists of the more than 450 arrested have been deported from Israel. Many have described torture and mistreatment in Israeli custody. The Swedish activist Greta Thunberg, who is reportedly being deported from Israel to Greece today, told Swedish officials she was being held in a cell infested with bed bugs and deprived of food and water. The Turkish activist Ersin Çelik told Anadolu news agency, that Greta had been, quote, dragged by her hair before our eyes, beat her and forced her to kiss the Israeli flag. They did everything imaginable to her as a warning to others, he said. This is
so we say this every week. We say this every time we stream, damn near. And it's one of the reasons why I do advocate for rising up against our oppressors. But I also caution that if you're the only one going to stand up against your oppressor, you're going to get shot or killed. Or both. And we aren't at a place where somebody like me can let loose because there are not enough people like me that are willing to risk the danger that I just espoused. I also served my country in the military. I also interacted with third country nationals while I was in Japan. And I did my job. And I could have been a bully. I could have been an asshole. I could have done any number of things and probably gotten away with it. But I never did that because I'm not that kind of person. And I could never see myself devolving into that kind of person. Many U.S. law enforcement and federal agencies go to Israel to train in varying law enforcement tactics, military training, and so on and so forth as well. And among those are counterterrorism and torture and policing techniques, right? So when you see Israeli soldiers or military or police abuse citizens, and then you see Americans do the same exact thing, understand that is the point. That is the purpose. That is the design of these activities. Now, Greta Thunberg, or she says it really weird. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Doesn't really matter. But Greta is a, 20-year-old civilian who has never served in the military. Probably doesn't even go to the gym and lift weights. Okay? She is just a regular 20-year-old little girl who happens to be an international phenom for activism. Right? And she was beaten, drugged by her hair, and forced to kiss an enemy flag by trained enemy soldiers in full regalia. And the first words out of her mouth in front of the news and everything else says, "I will come back and I will do it again and again as many times as needed for the sake of the Palestinians." It's not about me, it is about them. So, although I am filled with rage at what they keep doing to this girl and to every other activist in the name of whatever Zionist bullshit they want to claim today, that girl probably has more courage than an overwhelming majority of any service member or law enforcement person globally. She literally knows that every time she gets on one of these boats and gets captured by Israel, there is a very real chance that there's a guaranteed chance that they will beat and humiliate her, but there's a very real chance that they will also kill her and refuse to send her back and let her try again. And yeah, there's plenty of soldiers who are like, man, I can't wait to deploy again. I cannot wait to go into the desert and fight for my country. Sure, yeah, fine. There are some of those. And some of those guys are adrenaline junkies and suffering from PTSD. But they're also armed and trained to deal with that situation. Whereas Greta is going in to literally the belly of the beast, unarmed, without any other training beyond sending messages to her, what do you call that now? Her consulate, to make sure that they come and get her from a allied nation. So, the fact that the other journalists are talking about how they were torturing her and she didn't even bring that up is a testament to her power. And quite frankly, I really and truly hope one day I can meet this woman, and give her the recognition that she so rightfully deserves. If there's a single human being on this planet alive right now who deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, it is Greta. There is no other world leader. There's two people who deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. Francesca Albanese and Greta Thunberg. Those two should just be handing it to each other every other year. It's like, oh, here, it's your turn this year, Francesca. Oh, it's your turn this year, Greta. Because those two are pretty much the only two people at that level that are actively trying to combat and prevent a genocide. Is Amy Goodman doing a great job as a journalist? Sure, but she's a reporter. She's doing her job as a journalist. But she isn't breaching, making the waves as much as we would love her to. Whereas Greta is putting her life on the line on the forefront to put international attention on this genocide. And Francesca, of course, is going on every single platform she can, highlighting the fact that there are legal ramifications that other countries are simply ignoring. So, I have a feeling I am going to have a rough day today if we're already starting off this strong. You guys have to understand, the guys pointing big guns at the unarmed people with food for starving kids are the good guys. Right. The Zionist super troopers preventing civilians from going to other civilians to deliver aid are the good guys. Yep. The Swedish government is trash for not acting after a Swedish citizen was tortured by Israel. Or the fact that, the three countries that did send naval vessels to escort the flotilla did fuck all to prevent the flotilla from being ambushed and seized. I asked my city council that very question, if our local police have ever gone to Israel for any kind of training, and they refused to answer. Yeah, well, that is your answer, isn't it? Also, why is American police going to Israel for training in the first place? Secondly, I can't wait to shake your hand too, because I bet once we're at the point of running for president and can do national level things, I have a feeling you're going to be within the campaign in some capacity, and I definitely look forward to meeting you when I visit Colorado. Coretta deserves it even more. I can only advocate as hard as I possibly can that it go to Greta or it go to Francesca Albanese. Those two are the only people kind of, in my opinion, deserving of it. And let me be clear. Even if I become president, even if I make it into Congress, even if all these things, and I achieve the goal of erasing capitalism and fascism from the United States of America, that's still less deserving of the Peace Prize than Greta Thunberg and Francesca. Why? Because they are not elected officials, let alone heads of state, with the absolute authority and ability to influence the politics of a nation to make them change. That's to be expected. These presidents and prime ministers should be doing things to prevent the genocide from happening. They should be doing that without any prompting. That's the expectation of a democratic nation. That should be the barest fucking minimum of a democracy. Let us not aid and abet genocide. Like that should be the standard. That should be like the, oh yeah, I'm breathing and I need water today. Like, that should be the most basic thing, and it's not happening. So if I become a world leader or a congressional congressman, right, and I advocate for Palestine and I advocate for civil rights and due process in America, that's my job. That's not worthy of any sort of special recognition. But what these two women, Greta and Francesca, are doing is beyond exceptional. They are literally putting their lives on their line. In Greta's case, literally. In Francesca's case, figuratively. They might still target Francesca. If they're bombing judges, and if they're, having people falling out of 22-story buildings, high-rises, then yeah, Francesca absolutely has a target on her skull as well. So the fact that those two have the kind of influence or the kind of platform and the willingness to spread their wings and push, far more deserving, because they have significantly less resources and authority to actually facilitate the things they fight for.
A 75-year-old colleague was asking for insulin for 3 days. An officer said they didn't have medicine for animals at jail. Another Mexican colleague was asking for medicine.
I hit play, I was muted, and then within 2 seconds of unmuting, the Israeli Zionist police forces are calling detainees animals. So let's hear that again.
An officer said they didn't have medicine for animals at jail.
Warning
Just for
to
more
others,
context.
he said. This is Spanish activist Nestor Prieto as he arrived back in Madrid Sunday with a group of activists deported from Israel.
A 75-year-old colleague was asking for insulin for 3 days. An officer said they didn't have medicine for animals at jail.
So this is the part that, well, I think I've said that like 3 times already in the first 13 minutes of our stream here. One of the things that really grinds my gears is the fact that Zionist Israel claims that they're Jewish, claims that they're the land of the Jewish people, land of God's chosen people, the survivors of the Holocaust, and this, that, and the other. And yet, every single time their official acts are being reported upon and their words are printed or shared across media, they literally sound like Nazis. We don't have medicine for animals. We want to kill every single man, woman, and child to make sure that no terrorist can ever come from the land of Palestine again. We want to erase these animals, these criminals, these inhuman beings. This is literally out of the words of Israeli officials, law enforcement, and military. So, to even conflate the Israeli nation with anything resembling the Jewish faith is itself anti-Semitic. I would argue that the fact that Israel claims that they are Semitic is itself anti-Semitic for how horrifically cruel and vile they treat everyone else. Everyone else. And that they treat everyone else as a pawn. That they think they can just terrorize an allied nation and threaten to attack them just to get their way. In fact, we would have already been attacked by Israel had Iran not warned us in July. And in fact, there was yet another threat back in, September? A couple weeks ago? That was also thwarted because of an ally letting us know. So, Israel continues to play the victim card, saying, but we're the Jewish people survivors of the Holocaust, while literally engaging in the most heinous Nazi-Sprach that has ever Nazi-Spracht. So I declare Israel an actual anti-Semitic nation. They definitely do not live up to the faith correctly. Is PR3 being sarcastic? I'm guessing, because I didn't see him, I'm guessing he was not being sarcastic. Thank you for banning that, Anna. So yeah, I don't know that I'm going to be able to do a full 11 minutes of listening to Israel being Nazis, because but we have to,
Mexican colleague was asking for medicines for a cardiac disease, saying it was urgent, and they said it would only be urgent when her heart stopped.
So, we paused. So for 10 seconds, I think, is how long that guy talked. The Israelis called prisoners, detainees, animals, and that we would only give you life-saving medicine after you already fucking died. But sure, Israel is the good guys.
Flotilla members were greeted with cheers at the Madrid airport. This is the Dutch Palestinian activist Marco Tesh, who was also deported to Spain over the weekend.
They are not giving any medical support to the prisoners there. The people has been kidnapped from international water, and Israel is mistreating everyone, but especially the people with Arabic or Muslim background. Me, myself, I'm from Palestinian origin. I was mistreated the first day. I was almost like I couldn't breathe anymore because they got something on my face and they tied my hand to the back.
This comes as CBS News reports is
as President of the United States of America, not even just President, as soon as I am sworn into Congress and the first chance I get to open my mouth in the House, like in the actual stage, whatever it's called, one of the first things I will be doing in elected office, an official capacity as a congressman or as president, is to absolutely declare Israel an enemy of the state and of humanity. 1,000%. And then in that same breath, or comma, period, the next sentence, this administration, the Trump administration or regime, whatever you want to call it, is also an enemy of the state and an enemy to humanity. Because nothing less than that is even acceptable at this point. Like, if you're like, well, Israel shouldn't be doing this, but they have the right to. No, they don't. Well, but no. No. Okay, well, what about Trump? No. Well, no, he's not. But what? No. But ICE, no. But Steve, no. No. Nothing that Trump has done and nothing that Israel is doing has anything to do with leadership, governance, administration, or legality. Never mind democracy, never mind humanity, morality, or ethics. Trump is a rogue administration turning this country into a rogue state, and Israel has been a rogue state since its foundation and has been the sole cause, if not the sole cause, the primary cause for every ounce of Middle Eastern unrest since the end of World War I. So no, the first things I will do in an official capacity is to blacklist Israel and this administration as vehemently and aggressively as possible. As aggressively as possible. Show of hands, who thinks this peace deal is on the up and up? Nothing hidden, that's bad. Oh no, the peace deal has nothing to do with Palestinians, and Palestinians aren't even allowed to govern themselves in this peace deal. And you have multiple war criminals being on the board, managing and facilitating Palestine as part of this deal. So no, it is the most heinous possible solution short of murdering them all and glassing the place. Beyond that, this peaceful resolution is probably the worst peaceful resolution you can imagine. They hide so much and we're supposed to believe they're bringing peace. Well, just a public show. Israel has no intention of honoring it, just like they didn't 6 months ago. Exactly. Even if there is a peace deal, they're just going to find a new and a more imaginative way to undermine the Palestinian people or kill them. On the House floor. Thank you. That was the phrase I was looking for. If Israel was serious about the peace deal, they wouldn't have done this. Exactly. And they certainly wouldn't have been doing it for 2 years. They would have retaliated after October 7th in 2023, maybe arrested a bunch of people, and then called it a day. But a full-on invasion with erasing cities and going block by block and murdering people indiscriminately. No, this is the final solution for the Palestinian question that Israel came up with. In fact, they are becoming more successful than Hitler in terms of implementing and executing the final solution. That is why I say Zionism and Nazism are the same fucking thing. Even what's out in the open is pretty terrible. So yeah, whatever they're hiding, it can only be worse than what they're doing, considering that is openly calling for the genocide of the Palestinian people. I think it has partly to do with desperation for the Nobel Prize that they'll sell a turd and call it riches. Yeah, but that's the thing. They're not getting the prize. Why would the Nobel Conference give Trump the prize for this at all? Given the state of emergency that America is dealing with, the fact that even our own allies are creating travel warnings to the United States and recommending that people don't come to the United States due to ISIS crackdowns. There's no way that Trump could ever be eligible for a Nobel Peace, let alone any others. Let's see, with that new board filled with mostly Americans and like one token person from a foreign country, it's all oppression. Right. I mean, that's all it is it's trying to legalize the colonization and final erasure of the Palestinian people. Israel even launched airstrikes during the last ceasefire. Right. They attacked Qatar during peace negotiations. So, Israel has no desire for peace. They want to kill Palestinians, and they have been very vocal about it. They told us North Korea and the U.S. came to a peace deal, and then shortly after, Kim Jong ordered more tests. Yeah, well, Kim Jong is a wild card. He, honestly, I think Kim Jong is Trump if Trump were North Korean, right? Kim Jong-un is exactly the same kind of person as Donald Trump, but the difference is Kim Jong-un is in charge of North Korea, which is not a national or an international superpower. If Kim Jong-un were president of the United States, he would be acting the same exact way. The same exact way. They know America is a paper tiger. Yeah, well, among other things, right? So no, I think this video is making it hard for me to keep my calm. So yeah, let's try, since we were talking about the peace deal, let's go to that.
The Gaza ceasefire talks, those are designed to finalize Donald Trump's proposal Well, those discussions are now in their third day in Egypt. The discussions are focused on implementing a ceasefire, Israel's withdrawal from Gaza, and a captive prisoner swap deal. But there are many sticking points in these negotiations, as Nida Ibrahim now reports.
They might be the most promising talks since Israel's war on Gaza began 2 years ago. But the lack of...
Well, at least she has the cojones to talk about the fact that it's a war that Israel waged in Gaza, and not trying to call it a war or a conflict as if there are two equal sides in this.
Clarity on some of the details in Trump's 20-point plan could complicate the process.
A 20-point
According
plan?
to the proposal, the first stage would see the release of all Israeli captives, dead and alive. Hamas has agreed to do so, but its officials say they need guarantees that Israel will not resume its devastating war after its captives are released. Analysts point to the 1993 Oslo Accords that were supposed to lead Palestinians towards an independent state in 5 years, but still have not.
During that,
That's the first time I've heard about the Oslo Accords being mentioned. Granted, I don't know much about the Oslo Accords myself, but the fact of the matter is there has already been historical evidence that there was two-state solutions back in 1948, 49, I think 53 was another one, and then the Oslo Accords. In Israel, every single step of the way, every single time, has reneged on those promises, on those agreements, and facilitated their downfall and collapse.
At that time, Israel focused and the negotiations on Gaza and Jericho first, what was called, and left all the core issues, refugees, settlements, and Jerusalem, to the what's called the permanent status talks. But they never got to that point. So this is, it seems to me that history is repeating itself.
Yeah, well, history's been repeating itself for 80 years. So, but hey, this is slightly less infuriating than what we were watching.
Speaking of military occupation, this takes us to the second point. According to the Trump plan, there are 3 stages of the Israeli withdrawal from Gaza that are linked to progress on the ground. But they don't have clear timetables. The last stage would still leave Israeli soldiers on the ground until Gaza, quote, no longer poses a threat to Israel, Egypt, or its citizens.
But, oh my God. You know, Israel will just start the war back up after they do every time. I've been watching what they do for the last 30 years, and it's the same every time. And that's evidently what we're being told and seeing here, because a 3-stage or a 3-phase withdrawal with no timetables and no guarantees that Israel will not resume hostilities. And the only thing that's left of Palestinians is Gaza. And remember, back in 2020, early 2024, when everybody was getting pushed into Rafah, and then that got pushed into Gaza City, and that like these refugees have been being forced all up and down and everywhere else around Gaza. To be clear, all of this was Palestine. You see where it says Israel? That was still Palestine first. And what is never discussed, and maybe, you know, that's a creepy smile, or to stop on right there. What's never discussed in these reports is that Israel is a settler colony state. And the fact that that's never once brought up in any of the reporting, that Israel is occupying Palestinian land, that Israel was the aggressor, that they are colonizing the land of Palestine, that Palestine existed long before Israel did, and are trying to skew this as if Israel is defending itself, or that Palestinians are a threat to anyone else at all, anyone, regardless, for any reason, is laughable. Palestinians do not have a military. Hamas is not fighting anyone else. Israel has attacked Yemen. Israel has attacked Egypt. Israel threatened to attack the United States. Israel attacked Iran. Israel has Didn't they attacked Egypt and Yemen? I think I might be repeating myself, but it's Israel that has been attacking all of their allies or their neighbors. Always Israel, and they are always initiating the attacks. You know how many people Palestine have attacked in the entire history of Palestine? 0. Because they aren't an aggressive country, and they never have been.
Citizens, end quote. And many...
I have a feeling this will end the same way as it did in Fiddler on the Roof, but perhaps way worse. Yeah, no, I think the Palestinians are definitely going to be wholesale slaughtered. I think I don't. All we're seeing with this peace deal and with the ongoing genocide is Israel is dragging this out, because if they were to unleash the beast and just erase everyone, they know that would result in immediate international backlash. But by killing Palestinians slowly, a couple dozen, couple score, couple hundred a day, death by 1,000 cuts, the international outrage is there, but it stays at a simmering point instead of boiling over. And I think what we're going to see is that Israel is going to try and get America to collude with that plan, and drag out the slow suffocation of the Palestinian people, which again is despicable in every sense of the word. Israel is an enemy nation. They are a rogue state. They are a threat to humanity and democracy broadly, and they should be treated as a terrorist state. They 100% should be. When you're my age and you hear Israel talking about peace, you know it's bullshit, because they have talked this way time and again. It's like the boy who cried wolf, only they never actually see a wolf. They have the propaganda to make the masses believe they will come out of this as the victim. They took October 7th to say they got attacked, but they didn't tell you that they provoked the attackers by attacking them after getting what they wanted. But it's worse than that. Israel has admitted to use the Hannibal Directive for October 7th. And that has came out months ago. That came out at the beginning of this year. That the Hannibal Directive was used on October 7th. That it was Israel who attacked Israeli citizens to justify the invasion of Palestine. So.
He say Israel could halt its troop withdrawal at any time. Trump's plan proposes the release of 250 Palestinian prisoners serving life sentences in exchange for the Israeli captives. That's in addition to nearly 1,700 detainees from Gaza. There are now 303 Palestinians serving life sentences. Nearly 50 others are facing life terms. Hamas wants the release of high-profile prisoners like Marwan al-Barghouthi, Ahmed Saadat, and Abdullah al-Barghouthi. But Israel says it's not intending to release them. Also, Israel wants to fully disarm Hamas, a demand the group may only partially accept. Hamas leaders say they want to keep some weapons for self-defense, especially since they have already expressed their willingness to hand over control of Gaza. This is a position Israel and the US have pushed for. But it's the future of Gaza and who will govern the Strip that's got many people worried. Trump's plan suggests a new international body to oversee a local governing body. Even with all these sticking points, many expect Hamas to accept positions that it would not have had before. The main issue remains whether the US will maintain its pressure on Israel to abide by the ceasefire deal.
Yeah, that definitely is the big question. Will America try and actually hold Israel accountable, or is Israel going to implement their final solution? So this was 8 hours ago. I was going to say this one is talking about something stalling.
We're going to bring in now.
But that was 15 hours ago. So I guess the other one that we just watched was the most up-to-date version of that. They need to start with themselves. They've been oppressing and murdering people for just trying to live in peace. Way before the 7th a couple of years ago, right? But see, this is the issue, right? If logic and reason worked and the actual facts of history were enough to convey to the people of every government and every country that Israel is the bad guy, then Israel wouldn't have been able to keep their blockade up. They wouldn't have been able to detain the flotilla, and they certainly wouldn't be able to commit genocide on live television either. You know, so it's just extremely frustrating that the propaganda machine that Israel controls, there is nothing to counteract it. There's nothing. Al Jazeera is not enough. They're not on the news. They're not on cable television, and they're certainly not streaming to people's living rooms, if people even know about Al Jazeera. And the crazy thing is, I might have screwed myself, but Al Jazeera has 16.8 million subscribers. That is a significant number of people that watch Al Jazeera English. And even that, they even have Albanese up top there. Oh, they also have Trump. Wonderful. As what, counterparts? Because you got Greta and Bibi there. Even though they have 16.8 million subscribers, that is a drop in the bucket when you compare the entire population of the United States of America, Mexico, Canada, Europe, and Australia. And I'm also saying that a lot of Latin American and African countries are disgusted with Israel as well, but they're already talking about this, right? Where it's Europe and Western countries that are refusing to do so. And I think if you combine the population of Europe, America, and Canada, and Australia, I think you get about 1 billion people, or maybe a little bit more than 1 billion people. And that's the 16.8 million is not even 1% of 1 billion. Or maybe it's barely 1% of the entire Western world population. It's just not enough. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a Israel conversation
on the ground
if we didn't talk about the fact that there are Israeli strikes intensifying across Gaza during the ceasefire talks. I'm looking for liberation and for the bad ones to face their Nuremberg trial. Yeah, trust me, you and I both, brother. So, let's see.
Israel is pressing forward with its attack across the Gaza Strip. Its forces have targeted displaced families in Khan Yunis, killing a mother and her children. Several Palestinians have also been killed in a strike on al-Shati refugee camp in Gaza City. Medical sources say at least 12 Palestinians have been killed since the early hours of Wednesday. Tarek Abu Azum joins us now from Al-Zwida in central Gaza. And Tarek, this is the third day of negotiations, but that possibly means very little to those on the ground today as the attacks continue.
So, just throwing this out there, how the fuck are you going to negotiate for peace while murdering people indiscriminately during those same peace talks? And then, why would you be at all surprised when the enemy refuses to take you seriously or trust you? If you're going to enter into negotiations, you should at least do it in good faith by, not committing the atrocities you're claiming that you'll stop doing so long as everybody agrees to the peace deal. Absolutely fucking disgusting.
Yeah, that's right. We can see a continuation of Israeli airstrikes. We saw Israeli warplanes in the past few hours raining down explosives on buildings in Gaza City. From where we are in Al-Zawida town in the central area, we can visibly see a thick black smoke coming from the targeted areas, and the visibility has become extremely clear due to the wide-scale destruction for high-rise buildings and for the vast majority of civilian infrastructure that are leading to Gaza City. Every now and then we can see an explosion in Gaza City as Israeli forces at the moment concentrates its attacks targeting the Sabra neighborhood.
I don't know what that kid was saying, but it's kind of that is probably one of the only highlights, one of the good tiny flecks of light in this darkness. Kids are always going to be kids. Even in a war zone, even in the apocalypse, kids are going to look at a camera and a journalist and scream at it or try and do something to get attention. But that's about all the joy I can muster out of this story.
And Ashati refugee camp, but there is no concrete advancement to these areas as a part of the Israeli promise sent to mediators to suspend offensive operations. But the situation looks extremely grim, especially for those who decided to stay there. And people say that they are really struggling amid the continuation of the bombardment and fighting to access food and water as these sources have started to run out severely from Gaza City.
Tarek, when you talk about food and water, I know a few days ago when this announcement was made of the ceasefire process and the talks beginning, there was some cautious optimism that things might change, hopefully relatively quickly. Has that
I kind of really want to point out that everything behind this man is rubble, and people are walking in rubble and carrying whatever they can to carry food and water in, and like the vehicles don't even have frames in most cases, and like there aren't vehicles on this road, and everything here are lean-tos. These are temporary shelters in place, not even actual buildings. So, and I don't even understand how she's staying calm right now, because you would have to, people like him, the journalists on the ground in Palestine, have been systemically being murdered for the past 2 years. Journalists from all over the world have been targeted for the past 2 years. And I just don't know how you could be safe wherever you are, blonde lady, and talk to your colleague calmly. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just not cut out for this job. Maybe I'm too emotional. But you know what? If my emotion is rage and hatred and disgust at, genocide and fear for my fellow human beings just trying to do their jobs and trying to do their part to prevent the genocide from expanding, then I'm glad to be emotional rather than being a sociopath and pursuing the genocide or aiding and abetting it or whatever the fuck else you want to talk about with it. Yes, the baby was in fact cute. Hamas should not agree to disarm. I 100% agree with that. But the thing is, too, Hamas shouldn't agree to disarm, but they should also be better at fighting back. Like, I really want to know how well the skirmishes are going for Hamas, because if they're still going, if they're still fighting, then why, like, where's the real offensive? Where's the real retaliation? Or are they just that strapped now for bullets, bombs, and able bodies to actually even mount a conflicting resistance to this anymore? They agreed to the deal before the latest attack, but won't tell anybody they're doing it. Yeah, probably something like that. Thought when you say you're on the way to peace, nobody attacks. Yeah, I thought so too. Or you would think that, at least. Israel did agree to the deal, but it's not a done deal since Trump and Bibi basically came up with the whole thing without Palestinian input. Once again, the baby was in fact cute. So when this goes on, all mention in the right-wing media that it's all going well is all a bunch of bull. When you don't let the attack get any input, it's oppressive attacks. Yeah, well, that's why I keep saying that America is a violent country that has persisted on violence and oppression of certain demographics throughout its entire history. This is just par for the course. Israel and America just do not see what they are doing as wrong or as Nazi activities. They don't see it that way. And it is up to the people to remind them and show them the error of their ways. They agreed to a deal and attack next. That's like saying we gave this deal and now you can't fight back because it'll be framed as an act of war. But we can keep attacking during the negotiations and attacking, and while those who are getting attacked shut up. It is, in fact, disgusting. Thank you, Anna, for validating my feelings. This attack is like a version of stop hitting yourself. Yeah, no, it's this is difficult to watch and listen to.
Of the ceasefire process and the talks beginning, there was some cautious optimism that things might change, hopefully relatively quickly. Has that optimism on the ground faded somewhat now?
Well, people are still watching the Cairo talks with a cautious sense of hope, but it's a hope that tempered by a harsh and hard experience.
And the fact that Israel continues to attack them during the negotiations. So, like, yeah, I wouldn't be taking them seriously either. Yeah, I can't really watch more of this.
Okay, now moving to TikTok, which Larry Ellison is in the process of taking over. We're going to be joined by Guy Christensen, who is the creator behind the account Your Favorite Guy. Guy, welcome to Breaking Point.
So, pro-Israel crackdown on social media. So, I guess this is going to be talking about the fact that what we're doing is getting buried in the news feed. So I will hear this for long enough to hear it corroborated, and then we'll do another video.
Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you, Guy.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, so you're going to walk a couple boomers through what is going on over at TikTok. And so, and we've been talking offline. You've been trying to educate me, just with some success, but you got a lot of. It's a difficult task, so it's not on you. So
I'm a boomer, and I don't
tell
know
me what I'm getting. Was September what is
media.
it? 13th or 23rd?
September 13th.
Okay,
yeah.
So what happened on September 13th?
TikTok changed their free speech guidelines, and it has to do with their new hate speech czar who was hired through ADL lobbying. Her name's Erica Mendel. She's an ex-IDF instructor. She's a former State Department contractor, and she says that Zionism is an identity that goes hand in hand with Judaism for her. And so
we have what? Israelis' top propagandist in charge. Yeah, no, I think we did cover this, actually. Yeah, TikTok is being taken over by the Zios. A lot of the boards of most social media companies have at least one Zionist on them. And I think this sounds very familiar, that an Israeli propagandist was trying to rewrite the terms and conditions. And again, what I said before, that Zionism conflating itself with Judaism is itself anti-Semitic, because Zionists are literally killing Semitic peoples and using the Holocaust as, damn, what was the word I was going to use just now? As a shroud, maybe? As a veneer? As a, as a shield, I guess, for their atrocities. And now they're trying to use, terms and conditions and legalese and this, that, and the other to crack down on anti-Israeli conversation because, well, the public opinion is shifting rapidly. It's just not affecting governing structures enough yet, because public opinion might be turning, but it isn't influencing their governments yet, because people aren't rioting yet and overthrowing their governments. And I cannot stress this enough, yet. So Israel is trying to make it harder and harder to spread pro-Palestinian language and content, and trying to snuff this movement and only allowing its propaganda to go through. And I guess this gentleman's going to talk about it. Also, I wasn't expecting much from him based on appearances, but he seems to be very well spoken. I owe this kid an apology.
So TikTok hired Erica Mendel under pressure by ADL lobbying, which the national policy director takes credit for. And about 2 or 3 days after they hired Mendel, everyone who uses TikTok actually saw this. They pushed out a post notification when you open the app. It says they're changing the guidelines, And in these guidelines, they changed a whole bunch of things around that makes it so much harder to talk about Palestine. You can't talk about graphic incidents or violence in the context of a public interest. And they explicitly list war as something you can't talk about. They make it much harder to criticize the state of Israel as an illegal apartheid state or characterize the IDF as terrorist forces in the way they lay out criticisms of national origin.
I also noticed that it said that if you mention, and I do reporting on TikTok now, and so I will say like, I'll do this like 1 or 2 minute videos where I'm saying like, okay, this is Hamas is responding to, and I don't even do the like, I know that some people will say like H because they're worried about the algorithm not spreading their stuff. I don't care if it spreads stuff around, because we end up then posting the video on Twitter and Instagram, whatever. So I just use all the words. But like I will say like, okay, Hamas has received the take it or leave it ceasefire offer from Trump and Israel. Here is what Hamas is saying. Here's what Palestinian Islamic Jihad is saying. Because I'm a news reporter, and like those are the organizations that are involved in the news. And I saw, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought I saw in the guidelines that every time I mention them, I have to then follow that up by condemning their existence. Is that like, how does this work?
That's exactly right. They require anyone who makes videos on TikTok now to explicitly denounce all designated terrorist organizations by the State Department when mentioned in a neutral context. So you can't just say...
Instead of
sorry. This is a very good stretching device. Oh, you hear my back crack? Oh, very good for cracking your back. Very much so. Out of curiosity, just out of curiosity, say I put a TikTok on TikTok and I explicitly state that I declare Israel a terrorist nation, that Zionism is anti-Semitic towards Judaism, and that they are a rogue terrorist state that should be universally condemned and dismantled, and that I support Hamas in their crusade and their fight against oppression and occupation. What happens? Does it just get taken down? Does my page get banned? Does my IP get banned? Right? Do they start like tracking my phone and ban my IP on my phone and my router and the White House? Do I get a knock from the feds? Does Israel blow up my car? Like, what happens? What happens? Because imagine you clip any of my Wednesday streams where I talk about Palestine and Israel. Imagine you clip any one of those streams and post that on TikTok. Like that, there is no... I have completely violated all of their terms and conditions because they're bullshit. They violate free speech. And I don't care what your terms and conditions are. There have been many lawsuits in the United States of America that have shown that companies can do whatever they want with their terms and conditions, but if it violates the Constitution, it's not enforceable. So, wow.
Praise be upon him. It would have to be Hamas. Condemnation be upon them.
Yeah, you have to.
Has said that within 72 hours they will respond to the...
That is so crazy. All right, so Guy, I know you have compiled some... Can we have some examples? Can we put these on the screen so you can just explain it again to a boomer like me?
That's insane. Like... okay. So, are there any other social media platforms following suit?
Some of these things about why videos are getting taken down. Just walk us through these.
Details of your appeal. Okay, so that's the appeal. Sensitive, mature, integrity, authenticity, regulated goods, content is ineligible. Okay. You need to act... Oh, this is the visibility restricted. So, all it says is community guidelines, but it's actually not talking about that Israel stuff.
So just to put it into context, prior to the September 13 changes, prior to Erica Mindell entering the company, I looked at, before I came on, the past 6 months, what happened. And I only had 2 videos taken down. And since September 13th, it's been 11.
Wow.
And it's not been that long since, they switched over. So what you're looking at here are notification screens that...
So it was September 13th. 6 days ago was October 2nd. So that was what? Within basically 3 weeks. In less than 3 weeks, he went from 2 videos taken down to 11 taken down because of the Zio-Nazi.
TikTok sends creators when they remove their videos. And so you'll see on the left, I'm trying to submit an appeal. That was a video where I talked about Max's reporting in the gray zone about Charlie Kirk and his supposed turn on Israel.
So he's reporting on Charlie Kirk being murked and drawing conclusions or mentioning Israel at all, and it gets taken down?
To his death. And, the guidelines make a cutout for public interest. And so I thought I could appeal, but of course not. They took it off the For You page and all feeds, which you can see here on the right, where it says visibility restricted. It's not eligible for the For You feed. That means nobody can see it unless they explicitly open up my profile and go to my page and find the specific video, or else they're not going to see it at all.
Huh, that is crazy. Do we have any more?
So is that shadow banning? Is that what shadow banning is? Where it won't show up on anybody else's feed unless you explicitly go to that creator's profile and then look for it? Damn. That's
guys that we can show here.
Put up this
something.
So
I have some good dirt about Charlie Kirk and Israel for tomorrow's show. Facebook does that to me. Yeah, see, I don't know if Facebook does that to me because I'm monetized in that I'm getting $20, I guess. But yeah, some days I try to post bangers and they don't get anything, and then other days I post something and it just blows up out of nowhere. So that is certainly something. Censorship on social media. 444 for those of you who celebrate.
This is Democracy Now!
Barry Weiss to head CBS News as pro-Trump Israel billionaire Ellison family expands media empire. So, more censorship.
democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Monday marked the first day on the job for the newly installed editor-in-chief of CBS News, Barry Weiss, after she sold her right-wing digital media outlet, The Free Press, to CBS's parent company, Paramount Skydance, for an astounding $150 million. Weiss is a former New York Times opinion writer who resigned in 2020, founded The Free Press, which is backed by prominent Silicon Valley venture capitalists and has been widely criticized for its commentary on Gaza, including a piece headlined "The Gaza Famine Myth," which questioned famine conditions in the besieged.
Wow. So we're already, so we're not even waiting until the end of the genocide to spread misinformation and lies about the Nazi, because Holocaust deniers, right? That's a thing. That's been a thing since the Holocaust, right? We are already Gaza denying. And we're in the midst of it happening. We are literally witnessing famine in Gaza. We are literally witnessing genocide in Gaza in real time. And they are already writing denial articles about it. And now this bitch is going to be part of CBS News?
Siege territory caused by Israel's assault and blockade. In her new role, Weiss will report to Trump ally, Paramount CEO David Ellison. who took control of Paramount through the merger with his company Skydance Media. David is the son of one of the richest men in the world, recently declared the richest for a little bit, billionaire Larry Ellison, executive chair of Oracle, who Trump has proposed to make part owner of TikTok. The Ellison family is also set to make a bid for CNN's parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, which would also include owning, for example...
Isn't that the most base definition of monopoly? Of monopolization? Like, dude... What's the point of this? Like, what's the point of having a prop? What's the point of having this thing if billionaires can just buy all of the media with the blessings of the president and then just spew propaganda? Why even have these if we're not going to do anything with them? Seriously. Like, we may as well not have the right to bear arms if we're just going to sit here and take this shit. Like, I don't know what else to... Like, I'm not even advocating for violence. I'm just saying it kind of defeats the point of having props if we're not going to use it with blatant monopolization of media. With the blessing and direction of a president who is engaging in a consolidation of power. Well, this is pointless then. If nobody's going to use them, then there's no point in having the... Right? And that's the thing with rights. If you don't exercise your rights, why do you even have them? And she's going to head CBS News simply because she's a genocide denier. The Nazis might have been a bit more efficient in consolidating their power, but they would be envious of the behavior of the modern Western powers. They would be green with envy. Greener than green screen green with envy. Nazis wish that their era was this compliant to genocide and consolidation of power and fascism. This is insane. This has been an extremely stressful stream, and we are barely an hour into it.
HBO. This all comes after the parent company of CBS News agreed in June to settle a $20 billion lawsuit brought by Trump, who objected to how CBS's News' 60 Minutes edited an interview with Kamala Harris. Paramount board chair and controlling shareholder Sherry Redstone reportedly sought the settlement.
Thank you for the follow, but hopefully you're not a troll. We've been getting a lot of those lately.
To ensure the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, approved Paramount's bid to merge with Skydance Media. CBS also canceled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert starting next May after Colbert called the settlement a big, fat bribe.
Which is exactly what it is. I mean, it is exactly what it is. So, And the fact that it's so blatantly obvious and it was like a completely naked bribe on top of that.
I am going to say these words on your behalf. If you give me consent, you can say so in your mind's eye or not.
They made an agreement. I hope that the Palestinian hostages get home. I'm not a troll. Well, we hope that the Palestinian hostages get home as well. We also hope that Israel honors it. And we also hope that there is still time left to prevent greater atrocities from occurring. Because right now, we're seeing the consolidation of power from a fascist empire happening. And there's between 10 and 14 months left for it to finalize. And... It's not looking good for Americans. It's just not looking good for us. Because if it was difficult to get real news in the first place, if it was difficult to get unbiased, non-propagandized information in the first place, now that they are literally blocking social media posts and videos that go against the narrative from being seen unless you specifically go look for it, we're fucking cooked. Information is the most powerful weapon in any war and any conflict. Doesn't matter how many props you have, right? Doesn't matter how many of these you have. If you don't have information, you cannot possibly win. And if you can't sway the masses, then they're going to see this and think you're the enemy. Hamas offered more than 2 years ago to release all the prisoners in return for the 5,000 Palestinian prisoners, and Israel refused and instead chose to commit a genocide and bomb the Israeli prisoners to death. Yeah. No, that is exactly what we have been saying. And the fact that during these negotiations, Israel has continued to bombard, attack, and assault the Gaza Strip, which is obviously not a, in good faith negotiation.
From all of this, we're joined by David Cleon, columnist for The Nation, contributing editor at Jewish Currents. His piece for The Guardian is headlined, "Disgruntled NYT Journalist to Anti-Woke Power Grab. How Far Can Barry Weiss Go?" David, welcome to Democracy Now! Thanks for joining us from Brooklyn. Why don't you start off by laying out the Ellison empire and then the significance of them installing Barry Weiss as head of CBS News?
So billionaires can just buy news networks that themselves own news networks that own news networks. And then that billionaire can then just own multiple news networks and then just put whoever the fuck they want in charge of the under news network. Yeah. Nothing to see here. Nothing to be concerned with. Nothing at all that screams authoritarianism at all. Nope. Nothing to see here.
Well, thanks for having me, Amy. So Larry Ellison, who briefly at least was the richest person in the world in the last month or so, he was at least briefly ahead of Elon Musk. His son, David Ellison, is less is known about him, but he's a rising power in media. He founded Skydance, which is now merged with Paramount. Paramount, in addition to Paramount Hollywood Studios, owns CBS, obviously. It owns Viacom, which is Comedy Central and MTV. So it's a huge empire, and by all reports, Ellison is currently looking to acquire Warner Brothers and Discovery, which would give him control of CNN and HBO. So we're talking about an unprecedented level of media consolidation by an unprecedented level of wealth.
In America, which has laws against that very thing from happening. Also, Larry Ellison, is he even American? I guess he is American. I thought one of the Oracle guys was not American. Or maybe I'm thinking of Virgin. Maybe that's what it is. Stargate LLC? Wow.
Larry Ellison is a known Trump supporter. David Ellison is at least suspected to be, and both are known to be extremely fervent supporters of Israel. And David Ellison has gotten very close with Barry Weiss, who is very well known for being a fervent supporter of Israel, going back to her days at Columbia University 20 years ago, where she and I were both undergraduates at the same time, and where she gained a national reputation, even as an undergraduate, for campaigns she was running against Arab and Muslim professors there, who she and other students saw as too critical of Israel, and as ideologically motivated in the classroom.
Yep. Definitely could not make my way in college at this point, because if I was in a history class or a philosophy class or whatever class that this would take place in, and Palestine came up and Israel came up, and somebody started threatening the teacher for being too pro-Palestine or something, I'd probably just knock that kid out. And this was 20 years ago. This was 20 years ago when there wasn't anything this overt occurring, and she was this blindly supportive of Israel. That's insane. She's an Islamophobe. Well, that would track because that was in the midst of the 9/11 Islamophobia scare stuff in America. Okay. So, we're consolidating our news networks. Our social media is being infiltrated by Zionists. Billionaires that support Zionists are also working with the President of the United States, who also has an astronomical fuck ton of Zionists on his administration and working for him, and pushing for extreme measures to protect Zionism in America. So, America has become infiltrated by the Zionist ideology. I mean, I don't even... We have been infiltrated by a foreign power and a foreign entity, and are being manipulated by that foreign entity against the benefit and secure. I mean, treason. In the United States, treason is specifically defined in the Constitution as levying war against the U.S. or adhering to its enemies by providing aid and comfort. I believe... or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Most state constitutions include similar definitions, specifically limited to levying war against the state, adhering to the enemies of the state, or aiding the enemies of the state, and requiring 2 witnesses or a confession in open court. I keep trying to find this whole... Alright, where the fuck? Foreign influence in U.S. government constitution. I thought there was something that explicitly wasn't allowed. That's the emoluments clause. That's certainly something. From the White House. Oh, this should be good. Foreign influence at American universities. That's something else. Okay, I'm apparently not able to do research on the fly like this. Okay, so treason is not specifically listed as influence or infiltration by a foreign entity in the Constitution. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. Apparently I am, because that's not what it says. But we are clearly being controlled and being manipulated by a foreign power. And if that isn't treason, it's something. We'll find the legal definition for it, and I'll have it for you by Thursday, tomorrow. And I'll do another declaration to the page here. Do you think as part of the agreement the Palestinian hostages will be released? No, I don't think they will. And I don't think the agreement will be honored either. I think what will happen is Palestinians will free Israeli hostages. Maybe a couple Palestinian hostages will get freed in like that direct exchange. And then Israel is going to resume its attacks. And then the world is going to shake its fist. and nothing's gonna fucking change until Palestinians are dead. That's what I think, because again, we've had several opportunities throughout history where there could have been peace between Israel and Palestine, but Israel doesn't want peace between Palestine. Israel wants to colonize Palestine. Just like America did not want peace with indigenous Americans. They wanted to colonize North America, and America did. So let's hope so, but I don't think so. Do you think then the world will wake up that Israel cannot be trusted? No, because quite frankly, the fact that Israel continues to attack Palestinians during an ongoing peace negotiation, or the fact that they've been ignoring calls to stop or to have investigations or anything. Literally anything the world has tried to do to hold Israel accountable, Israel has blatantly ignored. They even attacked Iran. They attacked 5 other countries while massacring Palestinians, and the world did nothing about it. So no, I think Israel has a get-out-of-jail-free card, and they are wielding it with reckless abandon. And I don't know what it'll take for the world to hold Israel accountable, but whatever that is, there has been way too many losses of life already, and they need to fucking hurry it up. And if the only thing that'll get that ball rolling is me getting elected into Congress, then so be it. But that is going to be at least another 13 months, November, December, January, plus 12. Oh, I'm sorry, 15 months. Because inauguration and swearing in is usually in January of the next year. So, whatever it is we got to do, I don't think Palestinians have another 15 months left. I just don't see it. Israel just tortured a bunch of EU citizens and no one is doing anything. Right. Israel has literally just tortured one of the most preeminent activists in the world. And she is a Swedish citizen, and Sweden has had literally nothing to say about it. So, if torturing and capturing foreign citizens, denying them healthcare and calling them animals is not enough to move Europeans or Western civilization, then yeah, I don't know what will. Wow. I'm looking at other videos to look at, and absolutely none of them are good. None of them. Like, good as in, like, going to help me not scream. Here we go, protests. Protests, that's mildly positive.
That's the difference between being a terrorist and not being a terrorist. One letter.
So I completely...
About 8 policemen came and they read me my rights that I'm being arrested under the Terrorism Act. And
didn't England literally just say they recognized Palestine? And yet they are still arresting pro-Palestinian activists under the Terrorism Act that they passed to condemn protests against Israel. So, I hope that answers your question. How would you even begin to pronounce your name? Ari here? Like, did you just type on a keyboard? The Zios can deny Greta, but if they literally sign a piece of paper in the eye of the media and then break it, the world will wake up, right? No, because that happened with the Oslo Accords, and it's also happening with the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords is an agreement between Israel and Egypt, I believe, and other Middle Eastern countries to not do certain things like invasion and attacking, and Israel's been doing that too. Or do you think they will find some bullshit excuse? Some random Palestinian guy fought with a terrorist settler who's Israel now, we can attack again. Yeah, no, they'll find the bullshit excuse. Yeah, it's spam. No, that's fair. You don't want your main account to get blocked or banned for associating with me, especially since apparently they are cracking down now. But, yeah. What's crazy to me is the UK is still charging activists and protesters with terrorism after they supported Palestinian statehood and sovereignty.
They were about to take me away, so I sat on the floor, and whilst they were bending down to pick me up, one of them noticed that it does not say, but it says something else, and then they had to let me go.
Was this today or a different?
No, this was just a few minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
Oh, never mind. You're lucky we're doing this.
I'm not lucky, I'm sensible. Shame! Shame! I will not be silent. However little my voice is going to make, however little our voice is going to make, we're here to oppose genocide.
I'm supporting the many people who are sitting in the square. My particular way of supporting them today is to offer a challenge to the police. You know, if we can't express our opposition to a genocide, then, you know, where are our democratic rights?
Palestine Action is not a terror group. They are a group who advocate for the rights of Palestinians and want them to live. The Labour government at the moment do not listen to what the people are saying, to what other world leaders and what the UN are saying, that thousands of people are being killed.
Hell, they're not even listening to their own government that just said that Palestine is a country. So, oh, man. You know, it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder, right? They wouldn't try and take away your right to vote if your right to vote didn't have any effect, right? They wouldn't take away your guns if owning guns had any real effect on their powers and their influence. And they wouldn't take away your right to peacefully protest if peacefully protesting didn't have any impact, right? So my question is, if these peaceful protests are in fact working, then where's the result? Because they're getting arrested anyway. They're arresting the peaceful protesters for protesting peacefully with the signs that are corroborating the new laws. It's like the power structures keep drawing new lines in the sand. People meet those lines and are getting put into the smaller and smaller box, and nothing changes. Call me crazy, I guess. Oh, you get banned from Twitch all the time. Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm actually shocked I haven't been banned from Twitch. To be perfectly honest. Because I have been vehemently and aggressively against Israel since we've been streaming. And I think I started streaming specifically last year to specifically condemn Israel. And then try and play games and not, you know, think too heavily about the decline of democracy in the world. But, yeah, I'm actually, maybe it's because I'm not a large enough streamer yet. I don't know. It's going to be funny, though, if I end up getting a claim to fame and famous, you know, 30,000, 40,000 viewers streams, and I'm still condemning Israel. I wonder if that's when I'll get banned. That is Anna on Facebook. She actually got banned so hard, it took her main account and like 11 of her alt profiles with her, and to the point where she cannot ever get them restored again. When the Oslo Accords and Abraham Accords were written, many people didn't know about Palestine. But now, when people are watching them write the deal in front of their eyes and then watching Israel break them, I think it will be a massive shift in public opinion. But that's the thing. There already is a massive shift in public opinion, and it hasn't resulted in any of these governments taking any sort of action against Israel. That's the problem, unfortunately. Okay. Well, at least there are a shit ton of protests happening. around the world. So let's cool off a little
Across
bit.
the world, people rallied in support of Gaza, skeptical of a plan US and Israeli leaders say will bring...
Or maybe I'm too much of a pessimist. Maybe you are right, because the next few, let's see, around the world, Colombia, Latin America, another Latin America, and Mexico? I don't know. We got a couple
to the
of
region. In Rome, protesters
pro-Palestine
clashed
protests
with police during a demonstration against Israel blocking an international aid flotilla that had tried to deliver humanitarian supplies to Gaza. The protest had started peacefully, but anti-riot police used tear gas and water cannon to break up the crowd and arrested some of the protesters.
See, it's and this is the thing that gets me. Every single time there's a peaceful protest or a large protest that's peaceful, it's the police that engage in the violence and the aggression. And then they're like, oh, see, look, it turned into a riot. It's like, no, motherfuckers, you attacked peaceful protesters. You're the ones that are criminals. And it just never sticks for some crazy reason.
Protesters. In London, police say they detained more than 350 people at a demonstration in Trafalgar Square. Protesters had gathered in support of the group Palestine Action, which has been banned by the British authorities.
And this is why governments banning free speech is authoritarian, because, oh, we don't like that, now it's terrorism. Oh, it's anti-capitalist, anti-Christian, or anti-American. Oh, that's now terrorism. You are off to jail as a terrorist. Oh, this specific non-profit organization that's helping Palestine, we're now labeling that a terrorist group. But, you know, the actual mafia, the actual KKK, or the equivalent in the United Kingdom, no, we're going to let those continue on. Like, it's completely fucking asinine and arbitrary. Do you think public opinion can change enough that people will rise up and overthrow the government? Oh, that's a great question. All right, let me read that again for effect. Oh. Do you think public opinion can change enough that people will rise up and overthrow the government? Yes, I do think it is possible. However, and I emphasize comma, the only way public opinion will change enough for people to rise up and overthrow their governments is if there are leaders in place to facilitate those actions. And quite frankly, we don't have revolutionary leaders with national name recognition. And those who are trying to position themselves as such, AOC, Zoran Memdani, or even Bernie Sanders, are not revolutionaries. They are neoliberals at best and Zionists on top of that. So, is it physically possible for anti-Israeli opinion to lead to the overthrow of government? Yes, it is. Just like this administration terrorizing Chicagoans and other citizens could very well lead to the overthrow of this administration. 100% is it possible. 100%. But we don't have a Malcolm X or a Martin Luther King Jr. or a Che Guevara. We don't have an Assata Shakur. We don't have a JFK, right? We don't have thought leaders, revolutionary leaders. We have descendants of those individuals, but we don't have actual revolutionaries in positions of power or authority or with enough name recognition to actually facilitate those activities, right? Because you and I, those of you watching my stream, you're familiar with Breonna Joy Gray. You're familiar with Jordan Sheridan. You're familiar with Amy Goodman. You're familiar with Hassan, right? You're familiar with TYT and what's another good one? Breaking Points. You're familiar with all of these extreme left-wing, very left-wing individuals. But that's us. That's us and our little niche, right? None of those people are in mainstream media. None of those people are actors and actresses that are A-listers, right? None of those people are in Congress, and none of those people are in the Senate. Okay? So the issue is there are potential revolutionaries out there. but their voices, their platforms are so small as to be considered insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And they aren't willing to grow their platform and expand their influence to achieve revolutionary critical mass because they are either A, afraid of the repercussions, B, are choosing to stick to journalism or commentary, or C, are too afraid to actually do the work that's necessary. Now, revolution and overthrow of government, right? Isn't that insurrection? Isn't that violence and advocating for these things? No, not really. Because you can peacefully overthrow your government. There is actual evidence of this in the Philippines. Nepal obviously was a bit violent, but the Philippines have peacefully overthrown their government before. And I think South Korea did it peacefully as well, in just a couple months ago. So there are examples of peaceful overthrows, revolutions of government. The problem is, in America, we don't have the same infrastructure and community relationships that those other countries do. The Philippines are very community-based, very familial, very communal, very strong ties within your area, right? And that is what allowed them to work with other groups and other communities and other areas to overthrow their government. We don't have that in America. So that's the other issue. We might have a bunch of thought leaders that could, rally enough troops to get the 11.5 million people to even protest for the 90 days that it would take to overthrow this country. But could they get along? Could they work together? And could they convince the other organizations to work together as well? And the answer is unequivocally no. Because if that were possible, we would have already seen a counter movement to this Trump administration. And we're not seeing it because the only ones sort of even attempting to do so, at least on paper, on the surface, is the DNC, and they're not actually opposition. They are just pretending to be opposition so they can win the midterm elections. So, to your point, is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. Not until or unless somebody with the charisma and chutzpah of Assata Shakur, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Che Guevara, or JFK make it to that prominence. If all of us around the world go on general strike, yes, that would be another thing, general strikes. Union leaders, right? Do you even know the name of a single union president in the world? Because I don't. I don't know this. I don't know the name of any union presidents anywhere in this country or across the globe. And if we're talking about general strikes, then that's usually led by unions and labor movements. And that literally does not exist in the United States of America. I realize that when I talk to my coworkers, even the ones who are left-leaning and well-informed are not always all that informed and don't know most of the left-wing creators. In America, likely there will be conflict between these law enforcement groups and people. Yeah, no, well, that's already happening. If we put all our money out of the banks at the same time, that would be another way to do it. But again, trying to convince people to do that and go on general strike or do this or do that, again, there isn't a group or an organization with the ability to message, to spread that information. Remember that information war I was talking about and how we are losing desperately? There is nobody with that kind of reach or pull. I know the names of the bad union leaders. Yeah, well, unfortunately, that doesn't help us, does it? Did you hear that Kim Jong-un called Israel a cancer-like entity for peace in the Middle East and offered to help Iran with nuclear weapons? I did not hear that. I did hear that Kim Jong-un threatened to nuke Israel if they harmed Greta. But they did harm Greta, so I wonder if Kim Jong-un is going to follow through on his threat. That would be terrible, because nuclear war is terrible, but would be interesting. All right, I feel a little bit better. I actually was about to give us a break here because I need a break before I lose my fucking mind. But, you know, that helped me. I have my emotional support prop with me, so I do feel a little better. Pull it out, and when they give in, then you can redeposit it. Yeah, no, pull out your money, watch the banks collapse, and then put it in crypto, I guess. Nuking Tel Aviv was not a real quote. It started in a satirical site, and the media spread it as if it were real. But helping Iran is real. Okay, that's awesome then. That would be crazy if North Korea started allying itself in the Middle East against Israel because of Israeli aggression. Of course, oh no, now there's going to be more destabilization and more conflict in the Middle East. I mean, we're already on the precipice of World War III. It's just a question of who starts it at this point. What is the final spark to ignite the powder keg? Because if it isn't genocide and it isn't the war in Ukraine, maybe it is North Korea partnering with Iran. This is a good one. France's new Prime Minister Lecornu resigns
just hours
after naming a new cabinet. This should be interesting.
His new government was named an unexpected turn. Sébastien Lecornu resigning as France's Prime Minister after only 1 month on the job.
La composition du gouvernement au sein du socle commun.
The composition of the government was not solid and awakened partisan approaches.
Quelques appétits partisans.
Lecornu said differences in the new cabinet meant decision-making would be impossible. Reacting to the collapse of the shortest-serving government in French history, far-right leader Marine Le Pen was blunt.
It must stop. We must return to the polls. Let the French decide. This is what we think.
France's hard...
You know, shit is also really fucking scary, though, when France, which has been known to revolt and overthrow governments and rewrite their constitutions almost every single decade for the past century, is dealing with far-right extremism in their own country, right? The far-right movement, and an unstable leadership in their country, on top of the protests and labor strikes that are happening in France right now. Like, if France can't keep their shit together, and if France can't organize and protest their way out of fascism, then it's pretty fucking bleak for the rest of us. France is rough. Yes, it is. Every part of society is against Israel, from the red pill guys to North Korea to leftists to the Islamic world. Everyone. Andrew Tate said he will make his mega yacht go to Gaza with aid once it's built. Dude didn't even make it a month. Right, so to what did you call it? Trash account? Spam account? Yeah, to spam's account point. Yeah, everybody in the world is against Israel, and yet Israel gets to act with impunity. And then to Anna's point, dude didn't even make it a month, and you got the alt-right trying to say, oh, well, let's just take it to the polls. Meanwhile, France is protesting heavily against this very same government.
Left leader went even further.
Within the institutional framework we have, what can we do? There is one path, the impeachment of the president.
Since French...
Right. Why the fuck is he not gone from office? They've been going through prime minister after prime minister after prime minister, but this motherfucker is still in office. And I know we did a segment where we looked up the French government system, and the president is in charge of domestic affairs, and the prime minister... No. The president is in charge of foreign affairs, and the prime minister is in charge of domestic affairs. But, like, why the fuck has he not been forced out of office? That's what I'd like to know.
President Emmanuel Macron's decision to call a snap election in June last year, the National Assembly has been divided into 3 blocks: the far right, centre right, and left wing, with no governing...
Wow. The far right, the center right, and the left wing. Gee, does that sound familiar to anybody? We have the right, the less right, and then the left-wing party. It's almost as if every country in the world has somehow been able to become fascist all at the same time. Does it just... Am I mistaken? Does it just take 80 years for fascism to rear its ugly head? Is that what it is? Like, after World War II, after, like, a major global conflict and the rise of communism and socialism globally, and that being stamped down with capitalist leather boots for 80 years, is that the timeline? It takes 80 years to go from liberation to fascism? So, like, say we use props. Say we peacefully replace these governments globally. In 80 years, are our great-grandchildren going to fuck it up again? Well, technically, it's the boomer generation that's currently in charge of everything. So, the greatest generation fought World War II, had a fuck ton of babies, and those motherfuckers have been ruining it ever since. But the boomers that are alive now, that's not 80 years ago. The boomers are 60s and 70s. Actually, no, they are 80s. They are in their 80s, aren't they? So, yeah. So it's not even our great-grandchildren. Our children. The millennial children. It's Gen Z. Yeah, 80 years from now. Gonna fuck things up after we fixed it again? Is that what's gonna happen? Damn, that's wild. Because Gen Z is out of pocket right now. Gen Z is has overthrown at least 3 countries this month. So, okay, so maybe it would be Gen Z is the silent generation or the greatest generation. Okay, so Gen Z's kids, Gen Alpha, is Gen Alpha 80 years from now gonna fuck it up again? That's what I want to know. Is Gen Alpha gonna just coast through life, have everything handed to them on a silver platter, and then they just close all the doors and undo all of the safety nets and all of the doors and all of the locks and fail-safes that Gen Z and millennials put into place to prevent fascism from rising again? I'm mildly curious. We shall call him Airy. Okay. Airy it is. They almost got rid of him a few months ago. Emmanuel Jean-Michel Frédéric Macron is a French politician who has served as president of France and co-prince of Andorra since 2017. Oh yeah, because Europe still has royalty. The royalty aspect, though, just doesn't have any legitimacy in government anymore. Airy, in my country, when the people got sick of Maccabi football, so we threw them in the ditch until they said free Palestine. The media lost its shit and called everyone Nazis. Now right-wing protests led by Elsrechts are going on the street saying Sieg Heil, and not one media channel calls them Nazis. Yeah, the same is happening in America, by the way. But I've never heard of a president being also the prince. Well, if I'm pretty certain the prime ministers of like Spain, France, Portugal, Sweden, like I'm fairly certain most European countries that still have royalty, those leaderships are also merged with the royalty, the titles. Maccabi fans were attacking people and chanting genocidal songs. Yeah, no, see, that's insane. That is insane. But again, we also have been having neo-Nazis organizing in protests and marching in America too ever since this administration took over. So, yeah, that is definitely par for the course. And of course, nobody in our media is talking about it either. Maccabi is, yeah, I was going to say, I have no idea what Maccabi is, but okay. It's an Israeli football team. Shocking that they were attacking fans and calling for all that shit. Okay, well, I'll take your word for it, Anna. I was under the impression that a lot of European countries, their leaders did integrate the royalty aspects into the regular modern day governance as well. How about some actual good news? President Sheinbaum. I think I can set the prop down for Sheinbaum.
She wanted a party, and she got it. Claudia Sheinbaum celebrating her first year in charge of Mexico and historically high approval ratings of almost 80%. Mexico's main plaza, the Zócalo, was full. Music and mariachis before she spoke. She put her success down to continuing and expanding Mexico's social programs.
Huh! Imagine that! Continuing and expanding social programs has resulted in the most popular president in Mexico's history and a dramatically improving economy. Huh! Crazy how that works. Weird. Am I right? Am I right?
Now, we are the second least unequal country on the continent, only after Canada. The economic model is completely different, summed up in the humanist phrase, for the good of all, the poor come first.
Poverty is down.
E pluribus unum. The least of us shall have what the rest of us have. If you want to help society, help the poor first. Nobody is free until everyone is free, right? Like, there are so many phrases throughout history that talk about taking care of everybody, making sure everyone's basic needs are met before worrying about literally the elites or the wealthy or the powerful. Also, I gotta give it to her. She has a very powerful voice when she speaks. I think as far as like this generation of leaders, I would give Claudia Sheinbaum, first of all, her leadership on domestic policy speaks for itself. Then there's her presence, her ability to speak and the ability to reach the people. And then her international influence. She has actually become a very influential leader in Latin America and globally, thanks to Trump severing all other trade relations that America had. Other people had to pick up the pieces, and Sheinbaum is doing that. So I would actually put her as one of the best, if not the best world leader out there. This is what they did, but the media didn't care and chose to focus on our people, defending ourselves and throwing them in the ditches. Yeah, no, that's exactly how that goes, right? The violence gets all of the newsworthiness, but once the violence is being perpetrated by Israel, all of a sudden, oh, we can't talk about it. And then the victims of Israel, we can't talk about that either. Yeah. It blocked the link. Yeah, I don't allow links on my chat. If you DM it to Anna, though, she can post it.
Down. Government aid like pensions and free meals have helped keep people like Ignacia and Roberto living on the outskirts of Mexico City afloat.
Imagine that. Giving people food and access to food helps people survive and thus continue being productive members of society. Even if you weren't productive, that's just keeping people alive. Crazy idea for a country to do.
Honestly, she has helped us a lot with our pension, and she increased it too. And also with the water trucks. When she came, she promised us that we wouldn't be left without water, and we haven't been. So for us, she's a person who has really delivered.
8 million people were pulled out of poverty between 2022 and 2024. Sheinbaum and her party Morena have carried on the trend. It's places like this one in Mexico where President Sheinbaum's party has really made its base, where people perhaps felt abandoned by other parties and now feel that they've been taken care of by Morena.
So now Sheinbaum needs to improve the infrastructure. But, you fed the people, you improved the pensions, and you provided water to the people. Great. Those are your basic necessities. Now you rebuild your infrastructure, and then you expand your infrastructure, and guess what? You have a flourishing country. Crazy how that works.
She's also, so far, been able to manage the demanding neighbour to the north, President Trump, and his threats of tariffs and to send the US military into Mexico.
President of Mexico, wonderful woman.
Deft way, sort of like pushing back against the more militaristic impulses of the Trump administration while standing on her ground about what Mexico is willing to do.
But it's not all good news. Mexico's murder rate has gone down, but cartels are still all powerful in some parts of the country.
We've seen that criminal organizations have tightened their grip in the states and in the communities where they operate.
The president has also...
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, right? What she is doing for the broader population of Mexico, providing for their food, shelter, and retirement, and then probably going for infrastructure, expanding education. Didn't she build like a shit ton of schools and hospitals? The more of that she does, the more jobs she creates, the more people she lifts out of poverty, the less power and influence cartels will have, because people will be less drawn to do cartels in the first place because they will have legitimate means of survival. She is going to destroy cartels without having to lift a single fucking finger. Now, granted, she might actually have to do real policing or real military intervention with the cartels. That may very well be. But in the grand scheme of things, what she is doing now is preventing a future in which cartels will even want to exist. Because why do cartels exist? Why do any organized criminals exist? Because the basic needs of the people aren't met, so they seek recourse from other means, which usually is criminal activity, and then they band together with that criminal activity to support one another where their government has fallen. So, she is absolutely creating a world, a Mexico, that will not be controlled by cartels because people will not be drawn to cartels. Other than by the violence, right? But the more violent they become, the easier it will be to react to, the less people are going to be inclined to be influenced by them because, well, we have a way of life that we are not willing to give up from. And the promises that the cartels once made to these communities, we will provide you food, shelter, and protection, is no longer valid because the government of Mexico are doing these things as they should be. So, again, crime prevention is actually investing in your country, in your community, and in your people.
Sown seeds that might later reap a bitter harvest, especially pushing through the election of all the country's judges by popular vote, a move that's lowered the bar for judicial qualifications and seen sympathisers of Sheinbaum's party take up key positions. This is not...
Yeah, lowering the threshold for who can become a judge may or may not be a good thing. But then again, in America, the only way to become a judge is if you're a lawyer first. And then most judges are running unopposed. Because if you run against a judge and then lose, and you're still a lawyer, and then you go into that judge's courtroom, that judge can and will hold that against you, even though that is in completely unethical behavior. So, yeah, maybe lowering the threshold so anybody can become a judge might be good to at least prevent that. But at the same time, like, if you're just going to let any Tom, Dick, or Harry become a judge, that could go south as well.
Just a popular president, but a powerful one. How she wields that power over the next 5 years of her term could be crucial in a country still only a quarter of a century into democracy. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.
Don't miss out and get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay.
Can we pause? Look, what the fuck? All right. Yeah, don't give Twitch your phone number. Don't do that. And she is also doing that. Poverty. There are no cartels in Cuba. She's only just begun. Right. No, she's only just begun, and she is doing that well. That's really impressive. I did not know Mexico's president had 6-year terms. That's pretty impressive, actually. Also, that brings up a point. Trump is trying to run for a third term, but, like, at the same time, I wouldn't put it past this administration for trying to do something like extending the current term, or issuing a state of emergency in 2028 to expand or extend his current term, if he's even alive, which hopefully he isn't. But the corruption that we are dealing with is profound. And, well, today's worldwide news, so... Okay. What's this?
At the same time, we talked about China earlier. We weren't able to cover this bridge, but there's this new video going out and going massively viral for the right reasons. It's not AI. China has now officially opened the world's tallest bridge. They did it in less than 4 years. The bridge has a restaurant at the top, 2,600 feet above the river. The bridge cuts a 2-hour drive to 2 minutes, features a theme park with a glass skywalk, a high-speed glass elevator, and a waterfall off of the top of the bridge. Visitors can bungee jump off of it.
No,
the Grand Canyon Bridge is 2,050 feet above the river and spans 4,600 feet across. Quote, insane. And you can see
Beautiful.
Here, that is...
the waterfall features.
It must be nice to live in a real country. You know, last time that we were doing stuff like this was when? Hoover Dam? That was over almost 100 years ago.
Meanwhile,
by the way, if you've ever been to Hoover Dam, it's pretty awesome.
People were making the comparison to the bridge that was knocked down by the ship in Baltimore.
Oh, right.
And how long it will take for them. I mean, I think they have started construction, which is actually pretty good for America's standards, but it's going to be years and years before that thing is complete.
Yes.
And that's just, you know, a basic aspect. I mean, look, it's an extraordinary modern marvel, et cetera, but it's also like nothing special in the grand scheme of bridges. And that will take much longer than the 4 years, apparently, that they were able to construct this in. And
so that's a 7-minute video, which I think has already been told. Pretty awesome, though. And this is why I've been saying, like, we're losing against China. Like, China is an enemy because China invested in China for the past 20 years and consolidated international manufacturing within its borders so that even if they do lose international trade, they can still make stuff for themselves. Right? And they also have a population of 1.4 billion people, meaning 1.4 billion people that are eventually going to need to work or retire at some point. And if you take the average population is 70% is the workforce, then no, 70% seems a little high. It's 60% or 55%. That's still 700 million workers, which is over twice the population of the entire United States. So 700 million workers being able to create thousands of miles of high-speed rail every year, put up megawatts worth of solar every single year, and building an extremely modern bridge in 4 years is perfectly reasonable. And that level of industrialization is ridiculously difficult to keep up with for any country, let alone a country that has 1/5 the population and less than a quarter of the workforce. Because our workforce is 155 million and theirs is around 700 million. That's less than a quarter of the workforce. So I don't know how America is supposed to compete with China at all now that China has entered the modern industrial age. That'll be my job as president to figure that one out. And my assumption, the way I'm going to do that is the America Works program, and encouraging that 50 to 60% threshold of Americans who are workers to become trade experts in their field and have training facilities propped up all over the country to make everybody an expert in their field, and to consolidate our industries so that we are doing things the same way no matter where it's happening in the country. I think that's the only way we're going to compete with China, is by efficiency and expertise. Because clearly capitalism is falling far, far behind whatever system of economy China is doing, because that is infinitely more than what America has achieved in even the last 2 decades. In fact, I can't even think of a construction of an infrastructure project that would even compare to this. in the past 20 or even 30 years. I mean, we can say things like the infrastructure that exists in New York City is pretty massive and impressive, but like, it isn't game-changing. It's not creating a bridge that's cutting off commuting times or revolutionizing travel across the country, right? We haven't done anything like that. We've built overpasses and bridges, and even then, they crumble within 5 or 10 years. So I don't think we've had a great works project in America since, like they were saying, the Hoover Dam. Big time. And they actually care about investing in their infrastructure. And leaders who don't care about our country falling apart. Like they said, the Hoover Dam 100 years ago. Yeah, so, I mean, that's what we're up against. A country that is actually investing in its people. Whether or not Chinese government actually cares about Chinese people, they are investing in China. That is 100% what the Chinese government is doing, is 100% investing in the land of China. And if people happen to benefit from it, I guess they're okay with that. But if nothing else, China is investing in China. And that is going to pay dividends, because simply by building these bridges and building high-speed rails, it's improving commute times, it's reducing congestion, and it's improving commercial capabilities like commerce, travel. You can commute, instead of driving 60 minutes one way, you can commute on a bullet train 60 minutes one way and get 3 or 4 times as far. Which means if you're in the country, you can go into the city. If you're in the city, you can go to a neighboring city. Like, you are making an extremely large landmass much, much smaller and accessible. And that will only ever improve a country's given ability to function. And America used to have a very strong interconnected railway system. And ever since it started falling apart, we've been falling apart, which is, interestingly enough, the 60s. And what happened in the 60s, I wonder? Meanwhile, we have unmanned control towers at the airport due to the government shutdown. Right, and we have crumbling infrastructure all across the board. We have overloaded electrical grids and AI data centers being built across the country, overloading those grids and driving electricity rates up for citizens, for people like you and me, while those data centers don't pay a nickel, or nearly as much as they should. Breaking points. This must have been the same day, because this next video is about Venezuela.
Turning now to Venezuela, absolutely massive news here from the New York Times. Let's go ahead and put this up here on the screen. Quote, Trump has now called off all diplomatic outreach to Venezuela. The move paves the way for a possible military escalation against drug traffickers or the government of Nicolas Maduro. So let's
when the head of a nation calls off diplomatic relations with another country, that is usually preceded, or that usually precedes military conflict, or what the whole world did to North Korea, which is complete and utter economic isolation. Remember what you told me earlier? No, apparently I do not, because this is about Noriega. Nope. You're gonna have to enlighten me. Oh, that. Yes, now I do. Okay. Yeah. We've played this song and dance before. We've done this game before. Yeah. No, you're right. We have done that. But the problem is, we have done that before, except we didn't murder innocent civilians first and then cover it up and brag about it, nor did we start by sending our military over there as a intimidation force. We just did the CIA undercover thing. How did I react when they killed Abu Ubaidah? I don't know who that is. And I am apparently not spelling it correctly. Abu Ubaidah. A Palestinian militant and spokesperson for the Al-Qassam Brigades, the military wing of Hamas, from 2007 until his death in 2025. He was described as the central figure of Al-Qassam's media campaign. I wasn't aware that he died. August 30th. Did we not cover this? I don't remember covering this. This was a month ago, 2 months ago. I'll say this. Hamas losing its premier, what was that? He was the media outreach, right? Central figure of media campaign. Yeah. That's definitely unfortunate because if Hamas doesn't have a voice to speak out and say, look, we are just trying to defend ourselves, we're just trying to defend our people, then yeah, that's definitely not gonna go well for any of the information war that's happening. Oh, okay, so that's what happened? Well, there it is. Okay, so we did cover it, but we didn't cover the name, apparently. Hold on a second. My mouse is apparently dying on me. I gotta... plug this thing in real quick. There we go. Alright, sorry about that. And now we gotta find that. Okay. Now my mouse should work again. Okay. This is really stressful. I'm sorry. It's stressful because, like, the only thing we can do on this stream is talk about it and witness it, right? I'm not in a position of power. I can't call upon my 30,000 followers to call your senator and your congressman or to talk to your coworkers and your neighbors and initiate the general strike, because I can assure you, if I could get on Hassan's channel for one day, just steal his login information for one day, I would call to action every single American to resist this regime and Israel. I would do things about this problem. Unfortunately, I don't have 40,000 followers. But that being said, this is deeply demoralizing shit. And maybe that's okay. Maybe not being able to do anything is fine. Maybe being stressed out and angry and scared and worried for our future is a good thing, because people need to realize, like, you're not alone. I am just as afraid as you are. I am just as outraged as you are. I am just as disgusted as you are about this administration, about Israel. And I am doing everything in my power to do something about it. I'm running for office. I'm streaming. I'm doing video content. But I also have to go to work. And I also have to go get groceries and do this, that, and the other. And it's stressful. It is hard. It is hard to live a normal life. Keep yourself afloat and do a job while literally living through the apocalypse, right? Sure, your community, my town that I'm living in, right? I'm live from the Oval Office, but I commute in Ohio. And whilst in Ohio, we don't have ice tear gassing people in the streets. We don't have ICE randomly targeting apartment buildings and then bragging about it, right? We don't have that. We don't have the National Guard marching down our community streets. We don't have that. Not in Columbus. So we are removed from it. And then we come back and we see this and it's like, oh wow, this is happening in Chicago, Los Angeles, Portland, New York City. It's going to come here eventually. So now we have to brace ourselves. Now we have the anxiety of, well, when's it coming to Columbus? When's it coming to Indianapolis? When is it coming to Nashua? When is it coming to Harrisburg? Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, right? When is it coming to these other cities where I live, where I work, where I commute, where my friends and family live? So you're not alone. At the very least, you're not alone. And if you need an emotional support prop, I mean, more power to you. Can you watch this so you can confirm if it's safe for the stream? It works. Yeah, but what he's saying is if I click on that, is it going to be... You know what I mean? So why don't you watch it first and let me know if I can click on that. Sure.
I'm going to read portions of this just so everybody understands how batshit crazy it all is. Quote, President Trump has called off efforts to reach diplomatic agreement with Venezuela. Rick Grinnell, who had been leading negotiations with Maduro and other top Venezuelan officials, but during a meeting with senior military leaders on Thursday, Trump called Grinnell and instructed him all diplomatic outreach, including talks with Maduro, is to stop. Trump has grown frustrated with Maduro's failure to accede to American demands to give up power voluntarily and continued insistence by Venezuelan officials that they have no part in drug trafficking. American officials have said the Trump administration has now drawn up multiple military plans for escalation. Those operations could also include plans to force Mr. Maduro from power. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, has called Maduro, quote, an illegitimate leader and repeatedly cited U.S. indictment of him on drug trafficking charges. This is insane.
Back in my day, our CIA coup d'etats were undercover and not on broad daylight. This administration is literally instigating war and conflict with Venezuela and their duly elected president, and literally saying the quiet parts out loud of, we want to topple the administration of Maduro and force Venezuela to adhere to American foreign policy demands. I cannot stress enough. I cannot say loudly enough. I cannot say emphatically enough how much I disavow this administration. Donald Trump is a clear and present danger to the United States of America. His administration is an illegal administration, and they are acting with terroristic and violent intent. They are violating international law. They are violating U.S. law. They are committing war crimes and crimes against humanity, and they are undermining the sovereignty of other countries. Donald Trump and his administration are terrorists. They must be disavowed by the international community. And since the United Nations is too powerless and weak to actually act against this administration, because this administration has the veto power in the Security Council, you got to do something else. Whatever that something else is, whether it's individually as countries, as individual countries, refusing to engage in trade or aligning militaristically against America, whatever it is, this administration has to be disavowed. Period. Dot. This is an illegal administration. This is an insurrection. This is a coup d'etat. This is whatever you want to call it. Whatever legal term would best be utilized to remove Trump and his cronies from power and send them into a deep, dark hole forever. That's what we're calling it. And I'm calling it that. I am declaring that this administration must be disavowed and that my administration, the Ronan administration, must be recognized as the only legitimate administration in the United States of America. Let my administration take the reins. I was a legitimate candidate for president during the Republican primary in 2024, and I was the only candidate who was not taking AIPAC money or dealing with or siding with Israel in any form or fashion. All of the other candidates who ran for president in the Republican primary took AIPAC money, took Israeli contributions, and in some form or fashion supported Zionism, which would make them complicit. I am the only legitimate candidate, and you can look that up, who ran for president last year. So, by rights, I should be getting the nomination, and by all means, let's rehash it. Let's have a special election where I'm the Republican nominee, and I will go head-to-head with Kamala Harris again, and we'll have 30 days to do debates and to share our case with the American people. But the Trump administration cannot be allowed to continue to remain in place. Like, invoke the 25th, right? Foreign leaders need to disavow this administration, period. That's what needs to happen. But in America, we need to invoke the 25th. Congress, the Senate, whatever. They need to invoke the 25th. And if they refuse to, then as a citizen, I invoke my 9th and 10th amendments to do so. I invoke the 25th. He is clearly unfit for office because of his unconstitutional actions. Never mind his mental state, right? He is unfit for office. He is incapable of pursuing the duties of the president because he is trying to dismantle the Constitution and our democracy. I cannot stress this enough. Yeah, it's fucking brazen. And Colombia and China already said that they will jump in on the side of Venezuela. China is already sending military planes to Venezuela. Yeah, I think we covered that a couple weeks ago, actually. If they haven't arrived already. And so, yeah, World War III, whether it happens because of Israel, whether it happens because of Ukraine, Russia, or whether it happens because of America against Venezuela, we are on the precipice. Out fucking standing.
This pirate flag has been seen in protests from Paris to Peru.
La bandera se ha visto no solamente acá, sino como ya mencionas, en Nepal, en Indonesia, que son donde se ha visto más que todo las marchas de nuestra generación, ¿no? De los jóvenes.
But what does it even mean?
No one knows what it means, but it's...
Well, I know what it means. But that is kind of crazy that the One Piece flag, which is the Straw Hat flag for the Straw Hat Pirates, is somehow being used as a symbol of resistance. That's nuts. It's also nuts because most fans of most anime, the anime involves a protagonist going up against an evil empire, which is conducting heinous atrocities against minority groups, usually beast people, usually elves, usually dwarves. Right? That's an overwhelming majority of fantasy anime. And sci-fi anime, for that matter. Except that's usually more Star Wars-esque, right? It's against the aliens, or the non-humans, or the poor humans that aren't from Earth or whatever, right? And Luffy from One Piece, which has over 1,100 episodes, has consistently been going against the world government and the Marines, who are oppressing the entire global population with his flag of being a pirate and so on and so forth, and liberating countries, nation states, and islands along the entire journey. To the point where now he's a world figure, like a nationally renowned figure, as a pirate that is declaring war against the world government for their crimes against the world, right? Oppressing people, harming people, this, that, and the other. And the thing that is nuts is that people will watch this anime, grow up watching this anime, and then still be bootlicking scum, rooting for Luffy the entire time, but then vote Republican and support Trump. Fucking insane. Actually, I forgot about the video, so mea culpa. Alright, so this is the video.
بأن هذا الشعب العربي المسلم الذي ينهض منذ أكثر من 70 عاما يدافع عن كرامة الأمة في وجه الصهاينة المجرمين. هذا الشعب يتعرض على مرآكم للإبادة والتجويع ومحاولات التهجير والتصفية. فماذا أنتم قائلون لربكم؟ وماذا أنتم فاعلون للدفاع عن كرامتكم قبل أن تطالكم يد الظالمين في عقر داركم لا سمح الله وقدر.
That's a very good counter-propaganda piece. What will you say to your God when you allow the oppressor to do unto my people to yours? I mean, that you can't really argue with that. Now, this I don't like because this is anti-Semitic, right? You are literally, what's the word? Caricaturing Jewish people, right? Like, in associating Zionism with the Jewish faith, right? But this, specifically this video, is showing that Hamas is fighting for the liberation of Palestinians, and nothing more and nothing less. That is who they are. They are a freedom-fighting force. Just like the Americans during the American Revolution, they were terrorists. They were traitors to the British crown, right? To the English crown, Americans were the terrorists. Americans were the Hamas, right? The Al-Qaeda, the ISIS. But realistically, we were just fighting for our own liberation and our own sovereignty, and we achieved it. So no, I will 100%. I will not only react to this, and I'll fix my typos. Let's see. Is there any other, let's see. What are the hashtags? Well, there we go. Terrorist state. What's another good one for Zionism? Bam. Not that I have as strong of a Twitter following as I do, on Facebook, but yeah, I stand by that. I don't like this, but I do like this. Israel killed that guy. Yeah, no, that's actually not surprising that they would kill him, because that was I thought, a very well put together video. I mean, it wasn't maybe the highest of quality that you could possibly get, but it was still a good video that highlighted the mission of Hamas, which is Palestinian freedom. And that's what we've been saying since the beginning, is that Hamas was never a terrorist group. They were freedom fighters. But to the victor goes the spoils, right? And right now Israel is winning. History will remember Hamas as a liberation group, though. It goes without saying. Like there is no doubt that Hamas will be remembered as a Palestinian liberation group. Ola True Steel, how's it going? I don't know if I like the One Piece flag being used. I think people have misunderstood the main character. So technically Luffy really doesn't care about liberation in that sense, but he does care about freedom in the purest sense. He does not like the weak being oppressed, and he will fight against the oppressor. But he's like Goku in the sense that he just wants to fight strong people, and that he wants to crush their dreams through physical conflict. Arguably true that Luffy is not Che Guevara, he is not Asada Shakur. He is not that. But it is also true that he always sides with the plight of the people and the oppressed. But it's also an anime. His enemy ends up being the big bad that he wanted to fight anyway. It just so happens that it results in liberating people. At the same time, he liberates people who are willing to fight for their future. He believes in liberating people's dreams, but he wants people to fight for those dreams. That is the character of Luffy, if we're getting into those semantics. He does care about freedom, but he did stay out of the Shandorian and Skypian conflict. My One Piece lore is not as advanced as my brother's or yours is, apparently. I don't remember those. I do recall that he didn't specifically get involved with like the celestial dragons, right? And right now, like when he was in Wano, he got involved there, but he mostly got involved because he wanted to fight Kaido. Regardless, he was there for Kaido, and he just so happened to be able to save the people of Wano in the process. But that wasn't his point. I agree with you. Right. Luffy fights for his friends, and he tends to befriend people who fight for liberation, is the main takeaway. No, I agree. So, correct. I will agree with you that using the Straw Hat Pirates flag specifically as a symbol of liberation is kind of funny, because that's not necessarily how the Straw Hats operate. But, hey, if it gets young people to organize and protest and overthrow fascism, then who am I to argue, right? I'm not arguing with you. I don't remember the Shandorians. I don't remember that arc. But, what I am saying is that is one of the reasons why I do find it interesting that they would use his flag, right? Because there is an actual resistance in One Piece. There's the Marines, there's the pirates, and then there's the actual resistance. Like, it's literally the resistance. Like, literally the resistance, and it's Luffy's father that's leading it. And they have their own symbol and their own flags. And there are pirates associated with the actual resistance. But they're sticking to the fandom, which is crazy. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it would make even, you know what would make the most sense? If we were going to use anime or video games in the face of liberation and liberty, Final Fantasy VII. Avalanche. Literally is an, well, I guess it's technically an eco-terrorist group. That did explode reactors in a densely populated city. But they fought for the liberation of their planet against the evil corporate empire of Shinra, which was also the de facto government of the world, essentially. So you would think you would do Avalanche or something like that. I'm trying to think of other anime where they were explicitly freedom fighters. You could argue Berserk, actually. Guts. Well, he was a mercenary. Nah, nope, they were mercenaries. Never mind. Hold on. Liberation. What's a good Liberation anime? I was going to say Seven Deadly Sins, but I don't think we want to be using them as a symbol either. I'm going to have to think about that one. Akame ga Kiru is a much better liberation anime and does give out some important lessons. Anna, can you put the Twitter... Oh, wait, you can't. You physically cannot because you are banned from Twitter. Hold on a second. Did that work? Of course not. Because I'm pressing multiple buttons. Oh, you did. Awesome. Never mind. Kiru la Kiru. Yeah, so I'm not very familiar with like the Japanese names. So Kiru la Kiru. Kill la Kill? Yeah, well, we definitely can't use Kill la Kill as a as a liberation anime for the very obvious reasons. If you know, you know. How about this? Rebel anime. Five anime rebels worthy of leading the resistance. Yeah, see, I don't think that's going to give us what we want either. Gonna fucking open? Piece of shit. Code Geass? I actually haven't watched Code Geass. Arslan? Don't think I've watched that either. The Night Raid members of Akame ga Kill? I mean... wait, Akame ga Kill is different. That's with Lady Esteth. Okay, yes. Akame ga Kill, 100%. 100%. I would give that, yep. 9 and 12, aka Sphinx in Terror and Resonance. I don't know, didn't watch that one either. Gai Tsutsugami in Guilty Crown. Have I just not watched anime, or are these fucking not on Crunchyroll? I guess they're not on Crunchyroll. I'm such a fake weeb. I'm such a poser. Apparently, I should add this to my anime list watch. Yowza. Okay. Well, suffice to say, there are definitely better anime and better anime characters and groups to utilize for rebellion and resistance than specifically the Straw Hats. And even in One Piece, there are better pirates for liberation as well. Significantly better. Goldie Roger being one, like the gold pirates, like the Goldie Roger pirates. I forget if it was Jolly Roger pirates or whatever, but that would be one. Even Whitebeard would have been a better example for the pirates of freedom and resistance. Anna, can you stop? Just. How far along am I in One Piece? I think I'm caught up for like most of the episodes. I'm on like 1146 or something. Or hold on, Crunchyroll. And then where is my continue watching? View history. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to type it in. I'm on episode 1143. That's where I'm at. And I legitimately watched these fuckers too. Like, damn, there are a shit ton. So yeah, I'm pretty caught up. I'm 2.5 episodes behind. Bam, look at that. 2.5 episodes behind. And then I guess, you know, I'm just a poser. I watch Solo Leveling, Demon Slayer, Fire Force. Anyway. Let's
provocative.
No, it's not. It's
gets the people going.
The Straw Hat Pirates' Jolly Roger is from the best-selling manga series One Piece and its anime adaptation. It's as popular as ever, with a recent live-action version, games, merch, and an army of cosplayers. I'm dressed as Kobe.
El personaje principal llamado se encarga de ir de pueblo en pueblo, de reino en reino, ayudar a los amigos a liberar a los pueblos que están gobernados por...
But as we discussed, he does these things as a side effect of wanting to fight bad people. He doesn't necessarily go out of his way to do this. He doesn't just go searching for people in trouble and liberates them. That's just the plot of the story, that he ends up in these global situations, these conflicts that happen to be in oppressed areas. So, Kiru la Kiru is Kill la Kill, and Anna, just open up Google on your own phone, look up Kill la Kill, and click on a few pictures, and you'll realize why we're not going to talk about that on stream. Okay? Okay.
Por reyes tiranos, por reyes corruptos.
This recent wave of One Piece flags appears to have started in Indonesia, when truck drivers use the flag to protest new laws limiting how much they can load. Young protesters then...
I think the reason why it's actually popular, though, I think why they're using the straw hat flag, is because the idea of pirates generally was something that was historically used as against an empire. Pirates rebelled against the empire. And sure, some pirates were heinous criminals like Blackbeard, right? But some pirates liberated. And piracy throughout history did oftentimes wage war against governments for oppressing the people, and turned to piracy because their loved one was murdered unjustly or some other thing. In fact, the most infamous female pirate of all time, and I think the most infamous pirate of all history, was a woman from China whose husband was murdered by the emperor, and rather than, you know, taking that on the chin, she launched and founded the largest pirate fleet in all of human history. So I think pirates was the idea of liberation, that symbolism, and the most commonly used pirate flag. If you just Google famous pirate flag, like, I bet we can do that. Famous pirate flags. If you Google that, that does not come up. Wow, if I could type one-handed, right? Nope. I have no idea then. Because Indonesian truck drivers, unless being a weeb is so widespread now that that's just where people went, it's like, oh, well, shit. Piracy, flags, I'm a nerd, I drive trucks, let's fucking go with it. Gee, your high school boyfriend was a descendant of the most famous pirate of Puerto Rico. Somehow that doesn't surprise me. Oh, you read the manga. Oh, well, yeah. I have definitely not read the manga. I did read the manga for Solo Leveling, or I guess the manhwa for Solo Leveling. But that's about it. Yeah. Ain't nobody got time for all the reading and anime watching and streaming and prop holding, right?
then used the flag in anti-government demonstrations later.
To show that resistance against the policy by the government.
This is his problem. He's always making a mockery of authority.
Young Indonesians often use pop culture to criticize their government online, referring to fictional countries like Konoha from Naruto or Wakanda from Marvel.
There is no such thing about law violation.
So you know what's actually would be funny though? What would be absolutely fucking hilarious if, like, East Asian countries started using Naruto. Started using Naruto in their protests, and African countries started using Wakanda in their protests, and I guess Indonesia and Caribbean countries started using pirate anime such as One Piece in their protests. But like, what would Latin America use then? How many anime are Latin American centric? Latin American centric anime. Oh shit, Latina. That could have gone real bad. That could have gone really bad for that typo. Whoops. Full Metal Alchemist? Really? Anime in Latin America. Well, most watched. Okay. So that would be crazy if Demon Slayer was used in, like, Latin America. But then in Europe, what anime could be used in Europe? European-centric anime. Rebel. No, that's just giving me AI. So I guess... Okay, yeah. Yeah, no. That would absolutely be correct. The Rose of Versailles. Yeah, I could see something like that. Or even this guy, Code Lyosh. I could see that. All right. Or even Kirito. Kirito the swordsman. Although he is technically Japanese. Full Metal Alchemist isn't a fictional world. Well, yeah, obviously. But it would be crazy if each continent just kind of adopted a different anime for their revolution. Honestly, I'm here for it. If African countries started protesting using Wakanda, that would just be chef's kiss. One Piece everywhere else, I mean, I guess that makes sense because, I mean, wasn't, oh, fuck. Who was the conquistador who conquered South America? Fuck, why can't I remember his name? Anna, you should know, you were there. Who was the conquistador that invaded South America in the 1500s, who conquered the Aztec Empire? Oh, the Mexica Empire, actually. Come on, don't fail me now, Anna. I know you know it. Fine, I'll Google it, since you're apparently doing squats or something. Yeah, well, there was one specifically. Yes, Cortez. Yes, because he's also fucking known as one of the greatest pirates in history as well, of European pirates. So, where was I going with this? Shit, I lost my train of thought. Lost my choo-choo train of thought. And I don't remember now why I was trying to say that. No, I get that. Thanks. I already figured it out. I had to Google it because you were slow on the uptake. Thank you. But the revolution against or with anime, right? Like, that's Well, I typed it. I wasn't looking at chat. So you didn't say it before I went and looked it up myself. So anyway, I don't remember why I wanted to look him up now. That's not great. Must be the stress getting to me finally. All right. Point being, it would be ridiculous if global rebellion and uprising was starting to get centered around like various pop culture references, and like it just took the continents by storm where they originated from. That, to me, that would be, I think that would be the craziest thing ever. If that's what it would take to do the revolution, I'll put on a One Piece outfit right fucking now. Hot damn. Wakanda forever. I don't give a shit. Whatever it is we gotta do, right? So, we got 15 minutes left. Looks like we have some actual good news to cover. Goku is not a rebel. Goku is actually a fucking menace. Being a kid is idolizing Goku. Becoming an adult is realizing Vegeta was right all along, okay? Goku literally put the entire universe in danger so he could fight strong opponents. That's it. That is the whole... Goku is a fucking adrenaline junkie and a combat addict.
Renewable energy has overtaken coal as the world's leading source of electricity for the first time. Figures from the global energy think tank Ember show the growth in solar and wind was so strong it helped drive a slight overall decline in coal and gas use. Ember says developing countries, especially China, led the clean energy charge. But
I like how the BBC is reporting on China as a developing country, as if the GDP of China doesn't dwarf the entire European Union. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, no, that's why that's why I said we have some good news. So we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do the Nobel Prize. But anyway, the audacity of the BBC reporting on China as a developing nation when their economy is second only to the United States of America. Are you fucking kidding me?
Richer nations, including the US and the EU, relied more than before on planet-warming fossil fuels for electricity generation. While renewable energy, including nuclear power, has overtaken coal, as we just said, as the world's biggest source of electricity for the first time. Here's our climate editor, Justin Rowlatt.
The world's renewable revolution has passed a crucial turning point, according to the global energy think tank Ember. China is leading the charge. It added more solar and wind capacity than the rest of the world combined, reducing the amount of electricity it generated from fossil fuels by 2%. India also saw renewables outpace electricity demand.
So we've seen for the first time that renewables overtook coal. And if solar keeps growing as it is growing, and we have steady growth of wind, there is no going back.
But the Ember data shows the world is moving at different speeds. In some developed countries, notably the US and EU, electricity demand grew faster than...
Are you fucking serious? The BBC cannot stop their calling... What the fuck? Oh my god. If they... Oh my god. Really? This is the most racist reporting I have ever fucking heard in my life. And we cover the fact that most reports on Israel are skewed towards pro-Israel. This is so fucking racist. EU is a developed country, right? The entire European Union is one country. But China is undeveloped, and they just created a world wonder of a bridge. Yeah, no, seriously, what the fuck is this? Absolutely fucking insane. You know what? Fuck you, BBC. How do you ruin good news? How do you how? This is how fucked society is. We can't even celebrate good news because the reporting is so vehemently racist. Fuck you, BBC. Fuck this guy in particular. Does it say his name in the beginning here? It's this lady and then some guy narrating. Wow. What a fucking cunt. That's why the UK left the EU? Yeah. All right, let's try the Nobel Prize. Let's see if that's better.
Japan's latest Nobel laureate celebrated in Osaka on Monday after his prize for physiology or medicine was announced in Sweden. Shimon Sakaguchi's research into autoimmune diseases was honoured alongside that of Americans Mary Brunkov and Fred Ramsdell for their discoveries in peripheral immune tolerance.
I suppose I could call it a pleasant surprise. That's the best way to put it. I thought our research might be useful to people, and in clinical settings, and that some kind of reward might come. But receiving such an honor at this stage is surprising and an honor.
As with so many discoveries, this great leap for humankind began with mice, specifically male mice, which were born with a host of health problems and died after a few weeks.
The importance of the discovery is a fundamental principle how we avoid autoimmunity.
So they found sick mice and treated them? Did I understand that correct? I'm not a Nobel laureate. I ain't one of them there PhD types. But that's what I understood. They found the sick mice and put some of that there science in them and fixed the sick mice. Did I understand that correctly?
Sakaguchi started all the research when Ramsdell and Brankov looked at this scurvy mouse. They were trying to understand, like basic research, why is this mouse getting ill?
The answer took years to arrive at, as Sakaguchi and the two Americans made separate steps forward while feeding off each other's work. The Nobel laureates found that an autoimmune disease affecting boys was a human variant of the one afflicting mice. That enabled them to isolate a gene that controls the development of T cells that stop our immune systems.
Wait a second! Did he just say T cells? Because I may not be a smart man, and I may not be a dumb man, but I do dare recall that the T cells were the cells used in that their T virus that caused them their zombies to start eating people in Resident Evil.
From attacking us. Nobel laureates found that an autoimmune disease affecting boys was a human variant of the one afflicting mice. That enabled them to isolate a gene that controls the development of T cells that stop our immune systems from attacking us. Alfred Nobel's will stipulate...
That's... That's the actual... No, the mute button is right there when I pick up the microphone. Suffice to say, this is the exact plot and storyline of Resident Evil, and we're giving out Nobel Prizes for it. That's fucking scary. That's not good. That's not good. Also, if a video game discovered this connection in the 90s and created Resident Evil 1, shouldn't the game makers be getting the Nobel and not these guys? Just saying. Just saying. Dude, why did you have to... Thanks, Apolitical. Make me look like a jackass, I guess. America is going to go down the man in the high castle route. Yeah, no, exactly. Instead of turning left. I mean, I have an autoimmune disorder. I have celiac disease, so this will cure me? I don't know. It's either going to cure you or turn you into a zombie.
That breakthroughs with the biggest benefits to humankind should be honoured. This prize has been awarded for the possibilities it opens up in medicine rather than measurable impact on patients.
If you compare to maybe the first Nobel Prize in physics that Röntgen got, the X-ray, I'm sure he didn't know what the benefit would be of that prize, that everybody uses it like several times in a lifetime. For this prize, we don't know either, but we can be pretty sure that it's going to be a relief for those having autoimmune diseases and cancer.
So, yes, pop culture, it does seem that this prize, the team, the science that earned this prize may very well help cure all autoimmune diseases. That's actually pretty fucking cool. The Resident Evil joke notwithstanding, because that's also a very real concern. But, yeah. There's hope. Good news. What? There was another one, right? No, that was the other one. That was the other good news. Oh, shit. No. Yes, this.
Did you know about Mexico's insane plan to rival the Panama Canal? A plan that could generate billions of dollars and elevate Mexico to global superpower status. As you might know, Panama Canal authorities had to reduce the number of ships passing each day due to a severe water shortage. To counter this crisis, Mexico is building the Interoceanic Corridor of the Isthmus Tehuantepec, or CIIT. The project includes 3 separate railroad lines that will connect the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Line Z runs from Coatzacoalcos to Salina Cruz, while Line K runs from Ciudad Ixtepec to Ciudad Hidalgo. And finally, Line FA will run from Coatzacoalcos to Palenque. Line Z was opened for passengers in late 2023, and Lines K and FA are expected to be completed by the end of this year. Moreover, the Panama Canal takes 8 to 10 hours to traverse and costs an exorbitant amount of money. But Line Z would only take 7 hours, potentially giving the Mexican corridor a competitive advantage.
Damn. So, but I guess they did finish it now, because that's why I wanted to talk about it, is because it was in the news recently. What the fuck headline is this? Colombia manufactures first rifles to replace Israeli weapons. I guess that's a good... But also, aren't Israeli weapons American weapons anyway? Anna also has an autoimmune disease. Oh, that explains a lot. Zoomer editing. If we become zombies, we can zombify anyone we want. I guess that's true. So I guess... Okay, so Mexico is still working on it. All right. Still, though, that is promising news. And yeah. Colombia manufactures their own rifles to replace Israeli weapons, which, again, are American. So let's hear
In
this.
the industrial suburbs outside Bogota, gunsmiths at Colombia's state-owned armorer put the finishing touches on their newest creation, testing its resilience and accuracy. Their project is the country's first domestically designed and produced battle rifle.
It would generate a
Wait a
level of...
minute. Why does their battle rifle look like my prop? Why does their weapon of war look like my prop? I thought this was just a hunting prop. That's so weird that this is the design used by countries for weapons of war, but this is just a prop. Huh. Interesting.
of autonomy and independence that would allow us to produce fully Colombian-made rifles to supply both the national and international markets.
Yeah,
Colombia's left-wing.
We want to make our own rifles for ourselves, and so we can get into the arms trade. Are you fucking kidding me? And this is supposed to be a feel-good story? Are you serious right now? Colombia is going to enter into the Internazionale weapons and crimes trade. Weapons distribution trade internazionale. And that's a feel-good story, folks. We're weapons dealers now. What the fuck?
Wing President Gustavo Petro has already proposed a name for the new weapon, the Miranda, after General Francisco de Miranda, a hero of the 19th century Latin American independence movement.
Of course.
Since
let's name our Liberté rifle the Liberté rifle of Liberté, and then sell it to other people to liberté themselves. Oh my God. The irony of naming a weapon after a general who fought in Colombian Revolution so that they can enter into arms dealing. There's some fucking irony there. That was my attempt at a Latin accent. That was pretty bad. I know, I'm sorry. You like more guns than green energy? How dare you? Right. I mean, honestly. Hey guys, instead of investing in clean energy, because Colombia is a coastal country, right? So they could do water turbines. Right. So Colombia has all sorts of coastal access, right? So they could do water turbine energy. They could turn salt water into drinkable water. They could do the salt-based batteries. And then, of course, there's also the land. They could be increasing their ports. They could be increasing international trade. They could be, they could create their own trade corridor right here, bypassing Panama, right? They could just do the same thing Mexico is doing up here. Up here at this area. Mexico's trying to create railway through their country this way. Colombia could do the same thing right here. See this peninsula? They could create a rail system to go through this way and have ports all along this area. But no, they want to get into arms dealing and manufacturing. Let's go. They will sell arms to oppressed countries so that they don't have to rely on the U.S. You mean Israel. And that's not how that's going to work. Let's be perfectly honest. But good effort, Anna. Good effort. Shakira is from a coastal town. Why did I think this out? I didn't think this out. I literally belted that off of the top of my head by looking at the map of Colombia. Like that. Like, again, this is a prop. And if you're going to lead a country and govern a country and develop a country, you shouldn't be focusing on this. You should be focusing on trade and economic development. Thank you. That's why I think I am qualified to be president of the United States. I have at least 2 brain cells rattling around right here. Right, I said that. This is just a prop. That happens to look like the Miranda. I mean, kind of does. Actually. Oh, wait, you can't see that. Hold on. It looks really similar. Oh, geez. Okay. On that note, we actually made it past 10 o'clock. All right. So, thank you for joining us on the stream. I apologize that I was crashing out several times throughout this stream and that I was losing my sanity throughout the stream. This was an extremely difficult stream to deal with because of the genocide and erosion of democracy that we were covering relentlessly, and the fact that our own country needs to be, this administration, let me rephrase, needs to be disavowed. Beyond that, we did have some good news. As far as, I guess, weapons dealing is good news. And the clean energy and the medicine, so that's good. We might be instituting the zombie apocalypse, or we might be curing autoimmune disease. One of those two things is going to happen, so that's exciting. Other than that, tomorrow we will be doing a recap Thursdays, where we will be covering whatever we didn't get to today, and whatever stupidity has came out of the orange clown's mouth since Tuesday. So on that note, we stream Tuesdays through Thursdays, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your night. And hopefully we all make it through. President Samuel Ronan, out.